I've been discussing about superheroes for some time now, and I've talked about supervillains and antiheroes since the creation of this channel. Today, I've compiled the best topics from the richest supervillains to the most useless superheroes, and even villains who are not necessarily villains to the most powerful villains that can defeat different superheroes. So this video is for everyone that might have not seen the previous ones and to those who want to remember the topics. Superman has Jonathan and Batman has Damian. Even Flash has twins, but today we shall look at the villains who were lucky to have kids to continue with their bloodline and legacy. Thanos has a son called Thane, who is a powerful being with the power to alter existence with his left hand and trapping individuals in a state of living dead with his right. Kraven the Hunter's son was called Alexei Kravenov, who inherited his hunting abilities and his mutant powers. He mostly faced off with Spider-Man, and was a problematic villain who surpassed his father's legacy. Mastermind had daughters like Martinique, Reagan, and Megan. Both Martinique and Reagan became villains like their father, and Megan went to join forces with the X-Men. Apocalypse created his own creation called Genocide, who he looked after like a son, and was a being who possessed immense strength and power which were to help him continue his father's legacy of destruction. MODOK had a son called Headchase, who always had a plan to overthrow his father as the main leader, but would later change his plans to join his father and continue his legacy. The indestructible Darkseid also fathered a daughter called Grail, who had the strength of both the Amazons and the gods. She was the one who defeated Wonder Woman with the help of the anti-life equation and the anti-monitor. General Zod had a son called Lord Zod, who inherited his father's Kryptonian powers and his ideologies. He became a very strong enemy of Jonathan Kent. The Penguin from Gotham also had a son called Aiden and a daughter called Addison, who inherited Penguin's criminal empire after their father passed. Bizarro's son was called Bizarro, who was a distorted version of Jonathan Kent, and was raised in a dysfunctional environment by his father. Bane also fathered a clone version of himself called Vengeance, who was created as a weapon that was supposed to take care of the Batman dynasty. Dr. Doom adopted his successor known as Christophe Bernard, who was a substitute when his father was on missions as the ambassador of the UK. Sabretooth and Mystique bared a son called Graydon Creed, who was just a normal human being that had a deep hatred for mutants like the X-Men and the X-Force. Mandarin from Marvel was also blessed with a son called Temujin, who was often portrayed as a rival to Iron Man. Sandman had a daughter called Kimia Alvarado, who inherited his sand powers, but never became a villain like her dad. Thanos also had an adopted daughter called Gamora, whom he trained to be an assassin before she later turned on him and became a guardian of the galaxy. Ra's al Ghul bared a daughter known as Talia al Ghul, who had a son with Batman called Damian Wayne. She was an assassin and the leader of the League of Assassins. The iconic Deathstroke from DC also had a daughter called the Ravager, aka Rose Wilson, who inherited her father's combat skills and enhanced abilities. Brainiac was a direct ancestor of Brainiac 5, but unlike Brainiac, he went to join the League of Superheroes and save the world. Black Manta had a son called Kaldur'ahm, who became a member of the Teen Titans but later betrayed them and rejoined with his father's squad to avenge his father's demise. The dangerous Sinestro had a daughter called Saranac Natu, who was a member of the Green Lantern Corps. She always tried her best to never fall in darkness like her father. And finally, the immortal Vandal Savage, who was blessed with a daughter called Scandal Savage. She inherited her father's immortality and was also very skilled in hand-to-hand combat. Feel free to add more in the comments. Even as the most overpowered superhero, Superman has always shown some signs of weakness time and again. And some of the not-so-strong female superheroes can exploit his inability to hit ladies and his forgiving nature. So today we'll get to see every woman who have the ability of taking down or completely defeating the Man of Steel. And of course the first is Wonder Woman, who can use magic weapons like the Lasso of Truth and the Sword of Athena to weaken Superman, then use her immense strength and her combat abilities to take Superman down to the ground. Power Girl is an alternate version of Superman with powers like strength, speed, flight, and invulnerability, and she is not weakened by kryptonite, which automatically gives her the upper hand. Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, has superhuman strength, can also fly, and has the power to absorb energy of the cosmic, and this can make her go toe-to-toe with Superman and actually win. Jean Grey from the X-Men is a powerful telepath and a telekinetic goddess, and with the help of the Phoenix Force, she can actually destroy Superman in the first round. Storm, also from X-Men, can challenge Superman with her overwhelming power of storms and lightning, and unless she has kryptonite, it's going to be hard to beat Superman because I don't think lightning can really conquer the Man of Steel. Rogue, who is also an X-member, is a powerful mutant with the ability to absorb the power of others, which means that he can completely drain Superman's power and use it against him. Kamala Khan, who is also known as Miss Marvel, can use her shape-shifting abilities and strength to battle the alien, and can actually grow into a huge beast and completely outpower Superman. Zatanna from DC is a mastery of magic, and we all know that Superman is weakened by magic, and this gives her the upper hand when battling the god. Big Barda is also from DC, and is a part of the New Gods, who is extremely powerful and someone who possesses immense strength and durability that could rival Superman. I know that She-Hulk is a complete joke, but she is built exactly like the Incredible Hulk, and this means that the more Superman makes her angry, the more stronger she becomes. Mantis is an empath and an excellent martial artist who also has the power to influence other people's emotions, and since Superman is an emotional guy, Mantis can take him down pretty quick. Black Canary is not necessarily strong, but her canary cry can incapacitate Superman, and even though it would be hard to defeat him, she can temporarily put him down. Vixen is a powerful superhero with the power to transform into any animal she wants. And this means speeds, stamina, strength, and the will of all the animals combined into one very powerful woman. Wanda does not need any introduction. She is indeed stronger and better than Superman with her reality-warping abilities and her everlasting dark magic. She can destroy Superman with a single puff of air. Lady Shiva from DC is an expert in combat, and her intelligence can help her in defeating Superman by exploiting his weakness through things like kryptonite. Elektra cannot defeat Superman, to be honest, but with her unmatched stealth, agility, and weapons, she can at least offer a 3-second matchdown with the Man of Steel. Batgirl is just a reflection of Batman, and with her intelligence and the knowledge of kryptonite, she can really mess with Superman. Talia al Ghul is a master strategist and a combatant who has access to the Lazarus Pit, and this makes her basically immortal. She also knows Superman, and thus can use kryptonite to weaken and destroy him. Hawkwoman, whose real name is Sharara Hall, is a mortal beast with immense strength, speed, flight, and has experience fighting powerful foes, and together with her advanced weaponry, she can do some wonders to Superman. Enchantress from DC is a powerful sorceress who can manipulate magical energy, and since Superman is a suck-up when it comes to magic, Enchantress can easily take him down under. Avatar was full of fights and amazing scripts both in The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra. It also had people of immeasurable wealth, example like Fire Lord Ozai, who was the ruler of the Fire Nation, and was inarguably the richest Fire Nation leader due to his military power and control over the Fire Nation. Azula was Ozai's daughter, and her wealth was directly linked to her father, which made her the second most richest and powerful person in the Fire Nation. Iroh, although not the richest in The Last Airbender, he was supposed to inherit the Fire Nation throne, but he declined to be the ruler after his son passed away during the 100-Year War. The richest man in Omashu was Bumi. He was its king, and was also a powerful, influential figure in the whole of the Earth Kingdom. The Earth King of Bar Sing Se was also very rich from his position as the king, and was the one controlling the wealth's flow in the whole kingdom. Ty Lee came from a wealthy background, even though she mostly focused on her gymnastics. May also came from a wealthy lineage of tycoons, and his father was a good friend of Fire Lord Ozai. Lady Ursa, who was Ozai's wife, held a significant wealth and status in the Fire Nation as the Fire Lady. Avatar Roku was a wealthy Fire Lord even before becoming the Avatar, and was very influential and rich person during his time. Young Zuko was a prince of the Fire Nation before his banishment, and held a special position of wealth and status. There was an Earth Kingdom general called Fong, who controlled a strong and large military force, and was influential during the 100-Year War. Now, Kuvira was not necessarily rich, but the army she commanded and the vast support she got from wealthy investors made her a significantly wealthy person in the Legend of Korra. Asami Sato was one of the richest characters in the franchise. She controlled a large technological corporation that focused more on transportation and manufacturing. Varric was a wealthy and eccentric businessman, who was the one that powered the whole of Republic City with electricity. Suyin Beifong, as we saw, had her own city called Zaofu, and was a well-known craftsman who was also good in technological advances. Tarlok was a politician in Republic City who also came from a powerful family, and also had access to significant political and financial resources. Reiko was the president and the ruler of Republic City. He was literally the one who controlled the whole city's economy. Lin was the sister of Suyin, and although not as rich as her, she was also a Beifong and the head of the Republic City police force. Amon was the leader of the Equalists, and his wealth was generated by influential figures who funded his cause. Zuko, as the Fire Lord, was the wealthiest firebender during his ruling time due to the industrial empire and influence. Bolin was one of the most wanted actors in his time, and also was a professional athlete whose fame granted him access to wealth and resources. The Earth Queen was a corrupt leader of Bar Sing Se, and was extremely wealthy and controlled much of the kingdom's resources. Hiroshi Sato was Asami's father, and was the one who built the future industries from scratch, making him the wealthiest industrialist in his time. Opal Beifong was the granddaughter of Toph, and her wealth was directly connected to her lineage. And finally Batar Jr., who was the firstborn son of Suyin, and was one of the people who helped Kavira financially during her takeover. And if I left anyone, let me know down in the comments. Heroes are known to be tough and always the main protagonists of any movie. And some of them are made to be indestructible and unbeatable. Well, except Superman, whose weakness is mostly kryptonite. It is a mineral from Superman's home planet which, when exposed to, he loses his powers and become vulnerable to injury and even death. Wonder Woman has no kryptonite, but when she loses her sword and the lasso of truth, she becomes less formidable in fights. The lasso of truth also helps her to compel anyone to tell the truth, and without it, her ability to outsmart opponents is well and gone. Spider-Man is a teenager with emotional weakness. His personal life and loved ones are often used as leverage against him by the villains he faces, and an example is when Dr. Octopus took Aunt May in Spider-Man 2. His emotional vulnerability always impairs his judgment and makes him very easy to manipulate. Hulk has no weakness whatsoever, but Bruce has the weakness of self-control and mental stability. Whenever Bruce is a little bit angry, Hulk always emerges and causes havoc to everyone around him, and this makes anger his only enemy. Iron Man, on the other hand, is just a weak man who wholly depends on his suit. Without it, he is just an ordinary nerd with no combat skills or physical strength. Batman also is just a man in a costume, and although he is good in hand-to-hand combat, at the end of the day he is still a man who feels pain and ages exactly like us. The Flash can slow down his aging factor, but the only problem is the Speed Force instability. He draws his power from the Speed Force, and when the Force is disrupted or is unstable, he can lose his speed and become vulnerable to attacks. Thor's only weakness is losing his hammer. This weapon is the source of much of his power, and without it, his strength and lightning control becomes less effective during battles. The Green Lantern, even with the help of the ring, is weakened by the color yellow. His power is ineffective against anything yellow, and this was mostly in the early comics. Captain America, just like Batman, is naturally a man with physical limitations like injury, fatigue, and can also be overwhelmed if he is outnumbered or caught off guard. Wolverine is an immortal being with the regenerating factor, but is very much weakened with adamantium poisoning. His skeleton is coated with indestructible adamantium, but over time it causes severe toxicity in his body, just like we saw in Logan. Aquaman is a being of the sea, and just like a fish, dehydration plays a big part as his main weakness. He derives his strength and abilities from water, and his powers would weaken and diminish when he stays for months without being in contact with the sea. The Doctor we call Strange is a great warlock who mostly depends on his magical resources. The lack of these magical artifacts and his mystical energy may become his greatest weakness when fighting powerful beings and entities. The King of Wakanda is highly skilled and enhanced by the heart-shaped herb, which is his main power core. But the problem is that he can still be affected by toxic and poisons, which can make his healing vulnerable. Cyclops can shoot rays of powerful optic blasts through his eyes, and the only thing that controls his powers is his visor. Without it, his blasts could cause uncontrolled damage that would be hard to stop. Green Arrow is another human being in a tight costume. He has no superhuman abilities and only relies on his arrows. Without them, he is just another citizen. Daredevil is one of the greatest hand-to-hand combatant, and since he's blind, he mostly uses his other senses like feel and hearing. So when he is overwhelmed by loud sounds or strong smells, he becomes vulnerable to sneak attacks and is thus not combat capable. Jean Grey is always helped by the Phoenix Force, which often grants her extreme power. That means that if the Force is unstable or is volatile, she can lose control and possibly cause mass destruction. Storm has the ability to control the weather, and this power needs mental clarity and 100% focus. If emotionally stressed, she cannot control her powers, which means she can cause environmental damage and catastrophes that has never been seen. And finally, the Silver Surfer, a being with cosmic powers who is vulnerable to power inhibitors or disruptors that prevent him from drawing on the power cosmic. And even loosing his board can make him unable to travel from universe to universe. Heroes like Superman and Saitama Sensei are known for their power and their heroic abilities. Flash is known for his speed, and Invincible is known for his selflessness. But the heroes that we are going to look at today are known for their heroic abilities as well as their wealth. Here are 20 of the richest superheroes and their net worth as of today. Wolverine has a net worth of $10 million that he acquired from decades of savings from the mercenary jobs he did, worked as a SHIELD agent, and was also a professor and a teacher. Daredevil has a net worth of $4 million that he got from his job as a defense attorney. He is the co-owner of the Murdoch law firm and also owns his own building in Hell's Kitchen. The comedian from Watchmen has a total net worth of $5 million, which he got from owning his own apartment in Manhattan, and also worked as an assassin in his youth. Doctor Strange has a net worth of $100 million, which he acquired from owning his own house in Greenwich Village, has countless jewelry and artifacts in his home, and also was a surgeon back in his days. Night Owl has an acquired net worth of $10 million, which he got from his wealthy family background, and also from owning several story homes in New York. Vixen was a rich female hero with a net worth of $150 million that she got from her modeling years and also owning multiple businesses. Captain Avalon also had a net worth of $150 million from his inheritance and from owning major parts of England. Silver Sable had a surprising net worth of $200 million that she acquired from owning her own mercenary group and from inheritance which she got from her father. Now let's get into serious business. Iron Man has a net worth of $12.4 billion which he got from owning a tech company, inheritance from his rich father, and from owning multiple banks and apartments. The Dark Knight of Gotham has a net worth of $9.2 billion which he got from owning Wayne Enterprises and inheritance from his rich parents. Black Panther has an outstanding net worth of $90 trillion which he got from selling vibranium, the rarest and most expensive metal on the planet. Thor has a net worth of $200 trillion that he boasts from Asgardian treasures unknown to man. Aquaman is also balling with $150 trillion that he gets from barter trading ocean supplies to the surface world, sunken treasure ships in the deep waters, and also has advanced technology in Atlantic. The Black Bolt has a net worth of $100 trillion that he got from owning the whole Inhuman Kingdom and from the inheritance that he got from his family. Sunspot has a debatable net worth of $125 billion which he got from inheritance and investment plans. Professor X also has $125 billion from inheritance and investing wealth. Nightwing was blessed with $100 million net worth, which he got from inheriting Alfred's wealth after he passed away. Mr. Fantastic had a net worth of $12 billion which he acquired from his parents who had real estates worth billions, and was also a successful scientist. The Green Arrow had a net worth of $7 billion which he got from inheriting the Queen's Industries. And last but definitely not least, we got Iron Fist, who had a juicy net worth of $5 billion that he got from running a successful corporation and also from inheriting his father's wealth. These were but a few of the richest heroes we got. And if I left anyone, kindly let me know down in the comments. The Justice Society of America was formed years before the Justice League, and was actually the first superhero team to be formed in comic book history. You've probably seen some of them in the live-action Black Adam film, and today we are going to see the 12 original members who made it into the team. The first member is the Flash, known as Peter J. Garrick. He is a metahuman and a speedster, kind of like Barry Allen, and can run at superhuman speeds. He has fast reflexes, he can tap into the Speed Force, and can basically do what Barry can. And just like the Justice League had Hal Jordan as their Green Lantern, the Justice Society of America had Alan Scott, who was the first Green Lantern ever, and was not part of the Green Lantern Corps. His abilities included decelerated aging, which means that he could slow down the aging factor, and unlike the Green Lanterns today, his powers did not come from a ring but from a star heart, which is an ancient artifact created by the Guardians of the Universe that contained the predominant amount of magic from all around the universe. He basically used his powers like the Green Lanterns, but his was more powerful, kind of like the Green and Blue Lantern powers combined. Another member was Hawkman, real name Carter Hall. He was an archaeologist who was reincarnated thousands of times, and was a hero who mostly operated at night. He was kind of like immortal because every time he died he came back to life. His lifespan has made him a very wise man because he's seen and witnessed very many things during his thousands of years alive. He worked like Batman and was also gifted with the power of telekinesis. Hourman's real name was Rex Tyler, and was another member of the team. He was once a chemist who discovered a miraculous chemical that transformed him into a hero called the Hourman. He was able to use his extraordinary abilities for an hour at a time. He could get very strong and agile, and could use his Hulk-like energy to cause damage to villains. His immune system was also very strong, but his only weakness was the 60-minute time limit. Al Pratt was the famous Atom and was the founding member of the team. His abilities included decelerated aging, his body was resistant to radiation, he had superhuman stamina, speed, agility, and can focus his radioactive energy into his fists and punch a destructive blow to his opponents. We all know about Dr. Fate, but we shall talk about the first Dr. Fate, known as Kent Nelson. He was a powerful sorcerer and the agent of the Lords of Order who fought evil alongside the Justice Society of America. His iconic cloak and helmet were creations of the ancient Nabu, who acts as his mentor and spiritual guide. He had the power of divine empowerment, which means that he possessed unlimited levels of superhuman abilities of mystical nature. He had the power of telekinesis, flight, invulnerability, hypnosis, magic, and photokinesis. Ted Grant was a skilled boxer known as the Wildcat, and operated with the same code as Batman. He had the power to resurrect from the dead. He could see in the dark. He was perfect in hand-to-hand combat, and also had the ability to speak in most African languages. Charles McNider was the infamous Dr. Midnight. He was a blind physician that could literally see in the dark, kind of like Daredevil. He also had an owl which helped him in tracking and informing, and was also good in gymnastics. He was good in hand-to-hand combat, and was actually a qualified doctor in surgeon and medical research. Black Canary also started in the Justice Society of America before becoming a vigilante. She was known for her sonic screams and her martial arts capabilities. Stargirl was not necessarily an original member of the team, but she acquired and wielded the cosmic staff from the original member known as Starman, who was the actual leader of the team. Power Girl was the Superman of the team. She was a Kryptonian with the exact same powers to Superman. Huntress joined the team later in the years, and was the daughter of Batman, who was skilled in archery and combat technique. There were other members that joined afterwards, but these are the most iconic of the bunch.
There's more to our story.
Viltrumites are extraterrestrial race in the Invincible series. Most of them are ruthless antagonists who use their strength and power for conquest, and others made the decision to rebel against the Viltrumite Empire and stand alone. And today we are going to see the 9 greatest Viltrumites that appeared in the series so far. The first Viltrumite we saw was Nolan Grayson, aka Omni-Man, who was and still is among the most powerful Viltrumites. I mean, this man destroyed all Earth's heroes in a single battle, and also destroyed another planet in the first season within minutes. He was sent to Earth to conquer it, but developed emotional attachment after bonding with his son. And speaking of Omni-Man's son, Mark Grayson inherited his father's powers, but unlike the other Viltrumites, he had no need for conquest in the name of the Empire. He went on to become Earth's greatest protector and the greatest rebellion the Viltrumites had ever seen. Conquest is a fearsome Viltrumite warrior who is again the most dangerous and ruthless fighters in the Empire. He is a Viltrumite with brutal strength, and that is why he was sent to weaken and defeat Earth's heroes. Another warrior is Thrag, who was the leader of the Viltrumite Empire during much of the series. He is one of the most strategic and ambitious Viltrumites who seeks to expand the Empire and achieve dominance over the universe. Eva was the Viltrumite's warwoman who is a skilled and powerful Viltrumite known for her fighting techniques. She is among the military who goes to all the toughest conquering jobs around the universe. There are some Viltrumites who eventually rebel or question the Empire's ruthless methods. These warriors were seen escaping the Empire, and some even joined the opposition to take down their own species. These guys were known as the Allied Viltrumites. Anissa, on the other hand, was first introduced when fighting Invincible. She is a powerful combatant warrior who never smiles, and is always seen being a headache to Invincible. Angstrom Levy was not necessarily a born Viltrumite, but briefly became part of the Viltrumite race after a series of transformative events. And finally Zandalay, who is a minor Viltrumite warrior known to help in enforcing the Empire's rules and also his fighting capabilities. Now, all these Viltrumites are immensely strong and are known to live for thousands of human years. And this immortality is what makes them thirst for total control over the whole universe. They can fly at high speeds and can also heal quickly from every injury they get during battle, and this makes them nearly unbeatable all over the galaxy and universe alike. When we talk about Ben 10, we normally get the picture of aliens like Four Arms, Diamond Head, Echo, Swamfire, and even the famous Humongosaur. But some of the aliens in the Omnitrix went almost completely out of favor. And in today's video, we are going to look at 3 of the strongest aliens which Ben almost completely never used. The first one is an alien called Archfianzaro, which was kind of an alien from a planet called Pantophage. It had powers straight from hell, literally, and its appearance was demonic in terms of its appearance. I don't think that he had any weaknesses, but his abilities included super strength, which he used in battles. Also, he was durable when fighting due to his unending levels of stamina, and also was good in infernokinesis. Another alien was Antigra Vitesla, an alien who looked like a human with black hair and a mustache. He generated a spherical blue force field around him, which came from blue energy orbs protruding from the sides of his legs and arms. As his name suggests, he possessed the power to alter gravity, meaning he could apply the effect on himself or his surroundings. The only weakness this guy had was not being able to fully control his power, which mostly made him lose fights. But another alien who could fully control himself was Anodite, who had the shape of a humanoid and radiated streams of glowing pink energy that looked like hair. This one was one of the strongest and most powerful alien that Ben ignored most of the time. Some of his master abilities included fire suppression, which means that the enemy could not use fire on him. His punches were so powerful they could crack the earth. Telekinesis, he could absorb his opponent's power, he could fly, he could even make himself invincible, he could change his size from tall to small and vice versa. He was also good in astral projection, which means he could be at multiple places at once. Immortality also helped his existence. Telepathy, he could also erase your memory. He also had the power to heal after a fight. He could create portals, teleportation, magic, super strength, durability, super speed, and could also survive in space without any fancy air technology. If Ben decided to use these 3 more often, he would have won most of the battles he lost. They were certainly more powerful than his original 10 aliens. Let me know in the comments which other alien Ben had but literally ignored during fights. The reason we love superheroes is because they are fun to watch. Their powers and abilities fascinate us in every way. Some fly, some are super strong, and others are indestructible. But other heroes are blessed with very weird and boring powers which make them very useless to their teams. And today we are going to look at such heroes. There is this particular boy from the DC universe known as Matter Eater Lad, whose power is only to eat any form of matter. He even has a tooth logo on his suit. And as far as useless goes, he is undoubtedly the most useless hero in DC. The Blob from Marvel has the ability to become nearly immovable due to his size and density. So basically he was just obese. Paste Pot Pete from Marvel has no power, and hence he uses a special glue-based weapon to catch criminals. He is basically a normal man with glue. Squirrel Girl from Marvel has the ability to communicate and control squirrels. And I'm concerned as to how she can even catch villains using squirrels. Bouncing Boy from DC Comics is just an obese boy who inflates his body and bounces around like a basketball. A very creepy hero known as Arm Fall-Off Boy, whose only power is to detach his arms and use them as weapons. The Red Bee from DC is much better than the others, with the ability to command bees. That is good in scaring people away, but how are bees supposed to defeat Darkseid? Doorman from Marvel also has quite a better power in turning himself into a door and teleporting others, but he is pretty much useless in fights. The Constrictor from Marvel has a rope-like weapon which he uses in constricting others. Frogman from Marvel has a suit which he wears and behaves like a normal frog. And the only special ability he has is super leaping. Another obese hero is Big Bertha from Marvel, whose only ability is increasing her size in mass. She is also one of the most disappointing heroes in the Marvel Universe. The reason Translucent was removed from the boys is because he added no value in the series. He had the potential to be special, but he only used his invincibility to observe people who were in the showers. Rexplode from Invincible has the ability to make objects explode, which is good, but considering the villains in the show, his powers are just basically useless. And another useless hero in Invincible is Duplicate, who, as her name suggests, has the power to only duplicate herself into multiple copies. The Color Kid has the worst power on Earth. It's like the writers ran out of powers to give characters. This boy from Legion of Superheroes has the capability to change colors of objects. Basically, he is just a painter. Troll from Marvel wears a troll costume, and in some other comics they say that he transforms into a troll, which either way is a very useless power to have. Some heroes have the ability to foretell the future, but Hindsight Lad from Marvel has the power to recognize and analyze events that have already occurred. How useless can you be? Jack O'Lantern from Marvel is like a Halloween creature, who only throws flaming pumpkins at others. The Creeper from DC is sometimes seen as a hero and sometimes as a villain, and is always seen laughing uncontrollably at others. Sphinx from Marvel has the confusing power of projecting illusions to confuse his ops. That's a trick that could work very well in a circus but is very useless when facing Thanos. And one of the weirdest character is the Dog Welder from DC, whose only ability is welding carcasses of dogs at people. The Stiltman from Marvel uses extendable metal legs to increase his height. Nothing more, nothing less. The Black Condor from DC can fly, but he has no enhanced strength, no psychic abilities, nothing. He is just a man with wings. And finally, the Poison Ivy copycat of Marvel known as Flower Girl, who is a lady superhero that can communicate with flowers and control them. A very nice ability, but very, very useless. And if I forgot anyone, please let me know in the comments.
Anxiety, filling up every space, no privacy. And silently, it could build and build until you finally see. Whoa, it's taking over, damn no closure, moving closer. No exposure, I just wanna be a loner.
Some of Ben's aliens were just iconically dangerous. Aliens like Wrath, who was a tiger-like creature that was super strong, had an undying rage, and also had 2 retractable claws in each arm. Blitzwolfer was like a werewolf. He was strong, moved at insane speeds, and matched all that with sharp claws and teeth which he used to reap enemies to bits. Shock Squatch also had immense strength, and generated high volts of electricity during attacks. Frankenstrike comes from the word Frankenstein, and his abilities included superhuman strength. He could manipulate electricity, and was also very intelligent. Chromastone was a slim alien who could fly, could also absorb and generate energy, and was also blessed with unbelievable strength. Snarrow looked like an Egyptian mummy with abilities like shape-shifting, had pure strength, and could also regenerate his cells. Spider Monkey was just like your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man with abilities like immeasurable strength, could crawl on walls, and could also produce webs which he used to swing with and attack his enemies. Upchuck was a short, bulky alien who had the power to consume any inorganic object, and could then spit what he ate into explosive bombs. He also had 4 long tongues which he used to grab what he consumed. Terraspin was a tortoise-like creature who had the power to manipulate wind itself. He could also fly and was very durable in terms of his airborne and his hard shell. Armadillo was as strong as they come, could also generate earthquakes, and was very profound in enhanced digging. The famous Upgrade was a technological alien who had the power to shapeshift, could also possess any type of machine or tech, and also had the awesome power of shooting laser beams. Eatle was a short alien that was surprisingly very strong, had the power of eating and ingesting anything, and also had the ability to shoot lasers just like Upgrade. Swampfire comes from the words swamp and fire, and his abilities were super strength. He had the power to produce and shoot fire, and could also manipulate any form of biological plants. Astrodactyl was supposed to be like those dinosaur creatures which could fly at super speeds, and could also produce shock waves. Crashhopper was like the grasshopper that we identify with, and its abilities were just super leaping and had a durable skull. The Great Lodestar was a magnificent piece of creature which acted as a very strong magnet, could also fly, and had the power of regeneration too. Accelerate was the Flash in Ben 10, and was the alien which Ben always chose when he wanted to escape or evade punches. The Fluffy Cannonbolt was a ball-like creature that had a durable and impenetrable shell, and could also form a ball and roll at super speeds. Forearms was the greatest, no doubt. His abilities were like that of Hulk. He had super strength, could clap and produce waves of destruction, and could jump very high and very far. Jet Ray was a creature that could fly at hyperspace-level speeds, and just like a ray, he could also breathe underwater. Heat Blast was like the Ghost Rider. He had the power to manipulate fire, could fly, and had some levels of strength. Diamond Head was a crystalline alien who was also super strong, could regenerate his crystals during fights, and also had the ability of crystal manipulation. Echo was a small creature who, just like Ditto, had the power of duplication, and could scream with sonic energy which could destroy the senses of his enemies. Humongosaur was an unbeatable alien who had super strength, could change his normal size from small to big and vice versa, and also had durable skin which was virtually impenetrable. NRG was a gigantic fella who was so strong, and could produce both radiation and heat from his body. Big Chill had the ability to fly, was intangible at will, and could also produce and generate ice from his body. And finally, the Great Gravitack, who was a scary fella that had the utmost power of gravity manipulation. Darth Vader is undoubtedly one of the most praised Sith Lord in the Star Wars franchise. But if you thought that he was the most iconic, there once lived a Sith by the name Darth Bane, who was actually the one that created the Rule of Two, which stated that there can only be 2 Siths ruling at a time. A master to be the overall ruler, and his apprentice to crave for his master's seat. Darth Sidious, aka Emperor Palpatine, was the master of both Count Dooku and Darth Vader, and was the master manipulator and architect of the fall of the Republic. Darth Vader, aka Anakin Skywalker, was a former Jedi who was corrupted by evil and became Sidious' apprentice. Darth Maul was once a normal man, who later became a Sith Lord after his brother's demise, and was known for his signature double-bladed lightsaber and fierce combat skills. Darth Tyrannus, aka the Count Dooku, was also a former Jedi Master who later became Sidious' apprentice before the beginning of the Clone Wars. Darth Revan was once a Jedi Knight who became a Sith Lord, but then later changed his ways and sought redemption. There was this Sith known as Darth Nihilus, who was inarguably one of the most brutal Siths to ever exist. He had the power to consume the life force of a whole planet, and this made him the most feared in his time. Darth Shaun was known as the Lord of Pain, and was nearly impossible to kill. Darth Plagueis was Palpatine's master, and was a Sith Lord that was so obsessed with gaining the power of immortality. Darth Malak was another former Jedi Knight who served as Revan's apprentice. Darth Traya was a dangerous Sith that played a key role in the fall of the Sith during the Old Republic era. Darth Zana was Darth Bane's apprentice, and was the one who continued the rule of two after his master's demise. Darth Vitiate, aka Tenebrae, was one of the most iconic Sith Emperor, who ruled the Sith Empire for more than 1,000 years. Darth Momin was a Sith Lord with a strong connection to dark artifacts and ancient Sith rituals. Darth Talon was a Twi'lek Sith Lord who was seen in the Star Wars Legacy comics. Darth Krayt was another Jedi who became the leader of the One Sith operation, and wanted to seek ultimate control over all Sithkind. Darth Ndedu was one of the oldest ever Sith to exist, and was extremely obsessed with preserving his own life force for as long as possible. Darth Azard was the most cruel Sith to ever exist, and was a part of the ancient Sith species. And finally Darth Malgus, who was a Sith Lord that led the Sith Empire during the Great Galactic War.
Bruce Wayne has faced dangerous villains like the Joker and even Bane. But the Batman from the future, called Terry McGinnis, has been cursed with villains who are equipped with dangerous high-tech weapons. The villains we are about to discuss today are so powerful. I don't think Bruce Wayne would have been able to keep up with them. There was this man known as Derek Powers, who was initially a corrupt SEAL that became a radioactive skeletal villain after a failed experiment. He became one of Terry's main problems throughout the show. Ink was a shape-shifting liquid-based mercenary who was always sent by powerful people to do the dirty work. She was kind of like Catwoman, but more dangerous and lethal. A man called Walter Shreve was a sound engineer who turned into a villain called Shriek. He used sonic technology to manipulate sound waves and cause destructive blasts. Dr. IRA Billings was a psychiatrist who used virtual reality and hypnosis to manipulate perceptions and cause dangerous psychological damage to Zops. His villain name was the Spellbinder. Jokers was a gang of jobless people who were inspired by the original Joker, and they engaged in chaotic and criminal activities across the city of Gotham. The Royal Flush Gang was a family of criminals that dressed in card suits, and each of them had unique powers and abilities which they used to attack Terry with. Kurore was a deadly assassin from the Society of Assassins, and was known for her martial arts skills and her combat capabilities. She has fought Terry a couple of times, and has been able to take him down in multiple meetups. Dr. Suzuki was a villain known as a Repeller, and was a scientist who developed force field technology that made him nearly untouchable and unbeatable. He also became one of the most feared villains in Gotham. Another doctor was Dr. Abel Cuvier, who was a scientist that created hybrid individuals with animal DNA, and created his own monsters capable of defeating the Batman of the future. Mad Stan was an anarchist with the love of explosives, and was the one responsible for terrorizing Gotham like a madman. He had explosives everywhere, including his clothes and body. Willie What was just a nerd who gained telekinetic abilities after syncing his mind with Construction Robot. He was so childish, and was known to use his newly gained powers for revenge and other petty reasons. Vendetta was a former assistant to a man called Paxton Powers. She gained her strength from chemical powers, and made her turn into a crook who always disturbed the peace in the streets of Gotham. Wolf was a canine-based villain who underwent extensive DNA-altering procedures by Dr. Abel Cuvier, who we discussed earlier. He became a villain for hire, and was used by others to go on dangerous missions. There was a group of genetically enhanced children called the Brain Trust. The kid you see on your screen was one of them, and each had unique powers which they used on heroes like Terry. Stalker was a big game hunter, enhanced with cybernetic implants, and he was mostly used by his boss to go after Batman. Harley Quinn had two granddaughters known as the DD twins. They had the exact personalities of Harley Quinn, and were a dangerous pair in Gotham. They both worked with the Jokers to continue with the legacy of Joker. Chuckle was a villain who was also Batman's bully. He also worked for the Joker's cause and was mostly seen working with the group. And finally, we have Fat T. He was a leader of a group known as T, who were a street gang in Gotham and were always in Batman's business. They mostly did low-life criminal activities like theft, assault, and also trafficking. Feel free to include anyone I might have left out, and I will see you tomorrow.
In the DC Universe, there is a group of galactic knights known as the Green Lanterns. They are species from different planets and galaxies who are chosen by the Green Lantern rings to be protectors of the weak and the everlasting light in the darkness. And today we shall look at some of the most powerful Green Lanterns to exist before, during, and after the Justice League era. Hal Jordan is considered as the greatest Green Lantern to ever exist. His willpower was unmatched, and is remembered for overcoming the fear of the Parallax Entity and saving Earth with the help of the Justice League. Kyle Rayner was known as the last Green Lantern after the Corps was destroyed, and he had the ability to wield the ring in ways that no other Lantern could. John Stewart was a skilled strategist and a highly capable Lantern who served as the Corps military leader, and was known as the most formidable fighter in his time. Guy Gardner was known for his raw strength and fierce determination, and was a Lantern who never gave up on fights. The Great Sinestro was once a Lantern who became one of the most powerful beings in the universe as the leader of the Sinestro Corps. He understood the ring in a way that was impossible for other Lanterns, and this made him an impossible force and a formidable adversary. Alan Scott was the original Green Lantern from the Golden Age, and his ring actually worked differently with a vast amount of power. He was the one who paved the way to other Lanterns and taught them how to wield the rings of power. Kilowog was one of the toughest members of the Green Lantern Corps, and was the one who taught almost every Green Lantern that we know, including Hal Jordan. Arija Rab was a skilled Lantern with immense potential, and was considered to be a powerful force of will in battle. Saranac Natu was the daughter of Sinestro, and was a skilled Lantern with medical expertise, and was also a good and formidable fighter. Jade was both a Lantern and a Starheart, and this made her wield significant energy and manipulation powers. Tomari is a veteran Lantern who is remembered for his wisdom and experience, and was also a capable fighter and a master tactician who was one of the strongest Lantern in his prime. Chip was a small squirrel Lantern, who was small but possessed immense power and bravery, and could go one-on-one with enemies 100 times his size. Salak was a high-ranking member of the Corps, and was known to be one of the most intelligent and strategic member of the Green Lantern. Boudica was a strong and determined member of the Corps, who showed unbelievable skills with the ring, and was also an intellect during fights. Kalik was one of the biggest and strongest Lantern, who drew unattained levels of power during fights. He was also a wise and skilled fighter during battles. Varth Sarn was also a member of the Green Lantern Corps, and was from a planet known as Maltus. He was remembered for his strategic thinking and his tactical combat styles. Breek was a powerful Green Lantern who was known for his brute and raw strength, and was also one of the most courageous and loyal Lantern during his service to the Corps. Medfill had the unique ability to manipulate plants with his ring, and was known to use the ring to control the power of nature. And finally Krona, who once sought to understand the origins of the universe. His obsession with knowledge sadly led to his corruption, and the ring left him to his mystery. Ben was undoubtedly one of the most powerful superheroes on planet Earth to ever exist. With the Omnitrix, which could gather other aliens' DNA, Ben was purely magnificent. so it was only fair that the show could also produce some of the best villains to counter Ben's power. Now here are some of the worst villains that Ben had to face in the entirety of the show. Vilgax was one of the most dangerous and recurring villains that Ben ever faced. Some of his abilities include super strength, he could easily farcate energy projection, and also had the power of telekinesis. Kevin was the real definition of power, as he had the ability to absorb and manipulate any form of matter, including energy and elements. He could also transform into anything he had close contact to, and was able to absorb any form of power in its purest form. Hex was a powerful sorcerer with vast magical abilities. He could cast spells, summon mystical creatures, manipulate energy, and could also create powerful force fields. Another powerful villain was Dr. Onimo, who was a mad scientist and geneticist who had the capability of creating mutant creatures by altering their DNA, and was also a tech genius, who used advanced technology and mechanical devices to further his plans. Albedo was a Galvan who turned against his species, and had the powers of the Omnitrix, which allowed him to transform into any alien. And the only problem he encountered was that he could not switch forms at will. There were these alien species called the Hybrid, which always considered themselves to be the perfect life form. They had immense strength during battles, had vast telepathic abilities, and were also good in energy manipulation. Charmcaster was not necessarily Ben's arch-enemy, and was more of Gwen's foe. She was a young sorceress with magical abilities such as casting spells, could also summon mystical creatures, create energy blasts, and could enchant objects and use them as weapons. Ian was a time-traveling villain who had the ability to slow down time, to accelerate time, and could sometimes stop time too. He was so highly intelligent and could read Ben Tennyson's plans like a book. Now, there was this group of ancient knights who were known as Forever Knights, and were always seen seeking powerful objects. They were skilled in combat, used advanced technology, and wielded powerful weapons which they used in fights. Kyber the Huntsman was an expert hunter and mercenary who had enhanced physical abilities including super strength, speed, agility, and was also a master tracker in hunting his targets. Fistrick, on the other hand, was a former member of the Forever Knights who had superhuman strength, durability, and also wielded a powerful mace which he used in combat. Vilgax employed two brothers known as the Vreedles, and were known for their immense strength, their durability in fights, and their main talent was their loyalty to their master. And finally, the Dark Star, a villain with the ability to manipulate gravity itself. He could also create black holes at will, and was also highly skilled in combat too. The Sinister Six is a group that was formed by Dr. Octopus, and is mainly aimed in defeating Spider-Man. It comprises of villains like Dr. Octopus, Mysterio, Electro, Kraven the Hunter, Sandman, and Betty Brant, who come together and try to take our friendly neighborhood down. The Masters of Evil is led by Baron Zemo, and has been a persistent threat to the Avengers for quite some time. They planned a successful, devastating attack on the Avengers Mansion, which resulted in significant casualties and the reshifting of the Avengers into different locations. The Brotherhood of Evil Mutants was a group that was initially led by Magneto, which was supposed to establish mutant dominance over humans. The leadership then shifted to Mystique, who brought other mutants in the squad and reorganized the strategies in the team. The Black Order was a team that served Thanos, and comprised of powerful members like Ebony Maw, Corvus Glaive, Proxima Midnight, Black Dwarf, and Supergiant. They also appeared in the Infinity War, where they helped Thanos to find and collect the Infinity Stones. The Terrible Trio is still not a well-known group, but is a team which was assembled by Doctor Doom to fight against the Fantastic Four members. Members included Bulbro Jin, Harry Phillips, and Yogi Dakor, who were enhanced with superpowers to challenge and face the heroes. Another group was the Legion of Doom, which was led by Lex Luthor with members like Brainiac, Sinestro, Gorilla Grodd, and Cheetah. They have clashed with the Justice League a few times in different storylines, and also had their very own base known as the Hall of Doom. The Secret Six is a group of villains and antiheroes like Catman, Deadshot, and Bane, and are people who work under contracts on missions just like mercenaries. Terror Titans is a twisted mirror of the Teen Titans, and is led by a villain known as the Clock King with his partners Dreadbolt and Copperhead. They serve as a dark counterpart to the original team. Longbow Hunters was a group that appeared in Green Arrow with members like Count Vertigo, Killer Moth, and Red Dart, who were skilled assassins with a command to take the Green Arrow down. The Legion of Supervillains was the complete opposite of the Legion of Superheroes, and had members like the Cosmic King, Lightning Rod, and Saturn Queen who always fought against the will and ways of the superheroes. Wrecking Crew appeared in She-Hulk, and are a group of criminals like Wrecker, Bulldozer, Piledriver, and Thunderball, all who gained powers from a magical crowbar and crashed with heroes like Thor and the Defenders. The Serpent Society is a group of snake-themed villains like Sidewinder, Viper, and King Cobra, all who operate like a criminal union, often working together for mutant gain. The Dark Avengers is a criminal group led by Norman Osborn, aka the Iron Patriot, and members like Venom, Bullseye, and Moonstone. They pretended to be heroes, but were secretly serving their dark agendas like politicians. Squadron Sinister is a villainous mirror of the Avengers, which was created by the Grandmaster, and it featured people like Hyperion and Nighthawk who often clashed with Earth's superheroes. The UFOs is a team of 4 individuals who include Vector, Vapor, X-Ray, and Ironclad, and were people who gained powers similar to the Fantastic Four, and were known to frequently clash with Hulk and other Avengers. The Thunderbolts were initially a group of reformed villains posing as heroes, and included people like Baron Zemo and Moonstone, but they later became a legitimate superhero team under the rule of the government. Marauders is a mutant team led by Mr. Sinister, and is a group known for their brutal tactics and their enmity with the X-Men. The Hellfire Club is an elite society of mutants and humans like Emma Frost and Sebastian Shaw, who are known to manipulate political and economic systems for their gain. The Acolytes is a group of mutants who worship Magneto as a messianic figure, and are known to continue his legacy of promoting the superiority of mutant kind to the world. Reavers is a cybernetic-enhanced team of mercenaries created by a guy called Donald Pierce who opposed the X-Men with their advanced tech.
They call me a god. They call me a god.
Some of Ben's aliens made him almost invincible. Example like Walkatrout, who had the ability to breathe both on land and sea, and also had a very slippery body which made him so difficult to catch. Pesky Dust was like the final boss of the Tooth Fairies, with abilities like flight, could literally alter your dreams and be a part of them. The worst was truly the worst, as he was virtually indestructible and purely unbeatable. Gray Matter was a genius, and would use his intelligence to defeat villains 100 times his size. Jury Rig had the ability of mechanism, and would build or destroy anything at will. Topic was like the DC villain known as Scarecrow, as his main ability was to induce fear to his enemies. The alien called Chameleon had the power of invincibility, could easily scale on walls, and also had a retractable tail stinger which he used as a weapon. Kickin' Hawk was a large bird-like creature who had immense strength, unbeatable stamina, and also had 2 long elbow blades that were so sharp and strong. Molestache comes from the word mustache, and was best known for using his mustache just like we use our arms. Ditto could multiply into infinite numbers, and would use this as his main advantage, which is to overpower the enemy. Vampire was an alien that could fly, had super strength, and was also good in hypnosis. Gutrot was a huge alien with the power to synthesize and use any type of chemical at will. Ball Weevil was a bug-like creature, but this guy could make explosive balls which he used as weapons of mass damage. Amphibian was my favorite. He had the ability to fly, electricity manipulation, and could also use psychic telepathy on his ops. Wildmutt was the dog-like creature who had no eyes, but was blessed with pure strength. He had strong jaws and powerful bite force, and also had very sharp teeth. He also had 360-degree detection via smell and sound, meaning it was impossible to counter a sneak attack on him. Bullfrag had enhanced strength, was fast for his size, and had a long, powerful tongue just like that of a frog. Nanomech was a technological alien who was able to shoot lasers, could fly, and could shrink to microscopic size just like Ant-Man. Stinkfly was a bug who had the ability to fly, could generate a stinky and slimy excretion which he used as weapon, and also had an abdominal blade which he used like a bee. Wildvine was an alien that kind of looked like Swamp Thing from DC, and had powers like merging with other plant life, could regenerate his dead cells pretty quick, and also had the power of elasticity. Articuana was a sea creature who was blue in color and could breathe cold air like ice and was very durable during fights. Ripjaws was a frightening sea creature who had immeasurable strength, also had powerful jaws which he used for biting and crushing things, and also had the rare ability of breathing underwater. Fast Track was known for his super speeds and strength which he simultaneously used during battles. The Brainiac known as Brainstorm was a hyper-intelligent creature who could also produce electricity like an eel, and also had the power of telekinesis. Blocks was a Lego creature who could shapeshift and rearrange himself into anything, and could also regenerate the parts he lost during intense battles. Goop was a small machine which could release and control a slimy creature that had the power to shapeshift, could easily regenerate its cells, and had the power of flight too. A demonic alien known as Igai was frightening to look at, but also had some iconic abilities like 360-degree vision, could shoot lasers and fire blasts at will. Ghost Freak was easily the most difficult to defeat. His iconic gains included intangibility, meaning he could not be touched, invincibility, and also had the awesome power of telekinesis. Buzzshock was a dark and green creature who could produce high doses of electric energy. He could fly, and could also produce waves of sonic screams through his vocals. Water Hazard was like a waterbender. He could generate water from his body, could produce and absorb vapor, and his main advantage was his exoskeleton, which always protected his body from shock and blows. And last but definitely not least is Clockwork, who from his name was a time-manipulating master. He could also time travel at will, and could produce time-altering rays to mess up the timeline. Fate is one of the greatest warlocks in the comic universe right now. Some might say that Doctor Strange is the most powerful, but here are some powerful powers and abilities that Dr. Fate has which says otherwise. Unlike Strange, Dr. Fate has superhuman strength which enables him to lift heavy objects and throw some powerful punches. He can also fly at unbelievable speeds through the air and in space as well. Fate can teleport across mighty distances, even between dimensions and across time. He can harness raw magical energy and create his famous logo which acts as a shield and can also create powerful sonic blasts. He can astral project, which means that he can separate his spirit from his body and travel in an astral form. With the power of Naboo's helmet, he can alter the timeline and travel through time, both through the past and future events. And unlike Strange, Dr. Fate can heal wounds after fights, and can also heal illnesses by using his magical powers to restore health. He can also read minds and communicate mentally with others, which is a power that Doctor Strange cannot and will never be able to have. Fate can also create illusions of himself or other detailed things to deceive his enemies and hide his presence. With his helmet, he can project powerful energy beams or blasts from his hands and even his helmet. And just like Avatar, Fate can control and manipulate elements like water, earth, fire, and air. He also has the ability to change the molecular structure of objects, which allows him to transform them into different forms and materials. And before I forget, he can create projective barriers of magical energy to defend himself and his friends from attacks. Now, Fate can also summon and communicate with the dead, and can control spirits to use them in spiritual attacks. And we saw this power of necromancy when he was fighting alongside Zatanna to defeat the demon god. Another summoning he can do is calling mystical creatures and powerful entities to assist him in battle. This powerful being can also travel between different realms and alternate dimensions without the help of any time stone. And also, unlike Strange, the host of Naboo is immortal, and some have existed for centuries, and this extended lifespan gives Fate the upper hand when discussing who's better between Fate and Strange. He can also move objects with his mind through telekinesis, even at great distances and with great force. He has the power of matter transmutation, which simply means that he can change the composition of materials, example like changing lead into gold or altering substances on a molecular level. And unlike Strange, he is invulnerable under the influence of Naboo, and is highly resistant to physical and magical damage. His senses are very heightened, example like he can see what a normal human can't. He can hear sounds from other galaxies, he can smell nonsense from a mile away, and this power is not present with Strange. He again has the power of energy absorption, and can absorb energy attacks and magical forces using them to empower himself. And as the Lord of Order, Dr. Fate has the power of reality warping and can reshape reality itself. But this specific power is limited to the willpower of the helmet's host. He can also manipulate the fundamental forces of the universe, including gravity, magnetism, and even the Earth's nuclear forces. His understanding of the cosmic balance is perfect, and is always universally aware of the natural order and the laws of magic, which allows him to perceive threats on a universal scale. He can also foresee future events and recognize patterns that allow him to anticipate and prepare for upcoming dangers. And like his teammate the Green Lantern, Fate can form solid constructs out of magical energy and use them as tools of destruction or protection. His connection to Nabu grants him resistance to psychic or mental attacks like that of the Martian Manhunter, which means that you cannot use mind control or psychic probing on this masterpiece. And just like a priest, Fate can banish evil and break curses that is placed on anyone, and this makes him spiritually higher than Doctor Strange. When he's fully empowered by Nabu, Dr. Fate has godlike abilities that make him a force that can challenge even the most powerful entities like Superman and the Scarlet Witch. As you can see, Dr. Fate is one of the most powerful characters in DC and even in the Marvel Universe. His powers come from the Helmet of Nabu, which is an ancient artifact that has been blessed with the power of the Lord of Order, and has existed for a very long time.
You're being a really bad friend.
You bad friend!
You know what we call you?
No.
We call you the Stupid Avenger. What are you, crazy?
Yes!
Heroes are good at being heroes, but some have a lower intelligence and some are just downright dim-witted and always depends on their strength and superhuman powers. Heroes like the Hulk, who is incredibly strong, but is often depicted as not very sharp or intellectual. Don't get this wrong. Bruce Banner is sharp, but his alter ego isn't. And just like the Hulk, Ben Grimm is not as sharp as his teammates, and is often used for his muscles rather than his brains. Carol Danvers in some earlier comics is seen to be of straightforward nature, and always goes head-on in battles without a plan or decision-making structure. The merciless Logan is known for his brutal and animalistic instincts, but even after being an immortal being, he is never seen as an intellectual or a leader. Hercules is a god of strength and battle, and is depicted to be more physical and less cerebral, focusing on fighting rather than thinking. Billy Batson is just a child in a hero's body, and his wisdom and decision-making is below sea level. Doc Samson, just like Hulk, is think less, do more. The Daredevil is a skilled lawyer and an acrobat. But in some stories, he has been shown to be more reckless and over-emotional, which often leads to poor decisions. Luke Cage is street smart, but his smartness is more of common sense than actually being intellect. Aquaman, even though he is a king, always has a less eloquent personality and simpler thinking, and always depends on his wife and sidekick to manage Atlantis. Karen Beecher, aka Bumblebee, lacks the intellectual edge of her peers, but always makes up for it with courage and being kind. Superboy is a clone of Superman, and is always seen struggling with immaturity due to his teenage state, making him impulsive and reckless. A Green Lantern known as Guy Gardner is often portrayed as a hero with a bad boy attitude with the tendency to act without thinking. Wally West, even though he follows Barry's scientific lifestyle, is seen to be more goofy and impulsive than serious and smart. Jubilation Lee is a fun-loving and impulsive lady who always acts without thinking, and that is always costly when in the line of duty. Starfire from Teen Titans is not necessarily dumb, but due to her alien origins, she struggles to understand Earth's lifestyle, which makes her appear less intelligent. Hank McCoy is an intellectual powerhouse, but some versions in the comics focuses on his wild side, which always leads to moments of non-intellectual behavior. And just like Starfire, Mantis always seems confused with Earth's customs due to her alien nature and origins. Loki is sharp, no doubt, and we have seen it multiple times, like his depiction in Twilight of the Gods. But some of his comic appearances focuses on his comedic and goofy side, which often leads to him seeming less intellectual. Even his brother, the mighty Thor, is dumb. He is a fierce warrior but attacks without a plan, relying more on his strength and hammer. And if I missed anyone, let me know down in the comments. Daredevil's real name is Matt Murdock, and he's the main hero in Hell's Kitchen. Blinded at a young age, Matt has always learned to depend on himself, both as a hero vigilante and as a lawyer. During the day, he is just a blind lawyer who helps innocent people to get justice in court. And during the dark, he becomes an acrobatic vigilante who uses his sense of smell and hearing to clean up Hell's Kitchen from the goons that poisoned his city. What makes him a vigilante and not a hero is the fact that he does things off the book and alone without any help from the cops or other heroes. Another vigilante is Frank Castle, who is known as the Punisher. He used to be a United States Marine back in his early days, but after losing his family, he got so angry and started using the skills he learned in Afghanistan and Iraq to punish those that did his family wrong. And after avenging his family, he continued to clean up the city of New York by any means necessary. He was and still is one of the most ruthless vigilante in the Marvel Universe. He never forgives criminals and always does what the court fails to do. The Moon Knight is another vigilante and the alter ego of Mark Spector. He was once a mercenary who was abandoned in the desert, but would later be saved by the moon god known as Khonshu. Just like Daredevil and the Punisher, Moon Knight operated at night to protect the innocent and the people who worked at the dark hours. This vigilante has the power to absorb powers through his god. He is immortal, and is also gifted with the power of necromancy. Our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man gained his powers from a spider. He operated in New York during the day and night, and even though he sometimes joins the Avengers, he mostly operates alone to protect the New Yorkers from dangerous mutants and villains. What makes Spider-Man a vigilante is due to the fact that he works alone and outside the law mostly without anyone's help. He has superhuman strength, he is durable in fights, he has superhuman stamina, he can shoot web from his hands, and the list goes on and on. Logan is the famous Wolverine who refused to join the X-Men and preferred to work alone. He does not believe in the law and always fights with no remorse or mercy. He is a mutant with a violent streak, and his powers include superhuman strength, durability, incredible stamina, telepathy. He has the healing factor, and his famous adamantium claws, which are indestructible. The beautiful Jessica Jones is a private investigator with super strength, and due to her traumatic past, she chooses to work alone on her own terms without depending on the law. The Ghost Rider is a name given to individuals who used the spirit of vengeance and the demonic entity for revenge purposes. We shall talk about Johnny, who was the most famous Ghost Rider, and was a vigilante who worked outside the law to punish the corrupt and the sinners. He uses the spirit of vengeance who gives him supernatural force and abilities like superhuman strength, speed. He is good in hand-to-hand combat. He is a very good rider. He is invulnerable to any kinds of fire. He can blast ethereal flames. He can also travel between interdimensional realms, and as long as he has the spirit within him, he will forever be immortal. Blade is another vigilante from Marvel, and is a half-vampire hybrid and a vampire hunter. He mostly operates in the shadows, and is known to hunt the bloodsuckers that cause destruction at night in the darkness. He works alone and depends on no one but himself. He is gifted with superhuman strength, stamina, speed. He has heightened senses. Just like Wolverine, he's got the healing factor, and also his body has the ability to fight off any viruses and infections that may enter him. Elektra was once an assassin who later became a vigilante and an anti-hero, and is known for her brutality and deadly precision against heroes and villains alike. She works alone, and is a skilled fighter with or without weapons. The Black Widow, popularly known as Natasha Romanoff, was once a Russian KGB agent and a spy that later joined S.H.I.E.L.D. And even after joining the Avengers, She was mostly seen working alone and far from anyone's rules. She loved using the espionage tactics, and is a lady that can put 100 men down on their knees using her Aikido and Judo karate skills. Hawkeye is the archer in the Avengers team. While in the team, he was not necessarily a vigilante, but would go on to be an anti-hero when he became the Ronin. He worked alone while as Ronin, in order to fight and destroy the Yakuza clans and gangs in the city. And even after rejoining the Avengers, he retired and became a vigilante who worked alone, as we saw in the series called Hawkeye. He is a master archer and a marksman expert, and is also an artist in hand-to-hand combat. Maya Lopez is the famous Echo, and she can also be a Ronin who fights crime alone with the help of her skills in martial arts and mimicry. The Winter Soldier was once an assassin and now a vigilante with a metal arm who mostly works alone and sometimes with Falcon, and is known to fight bad guys as a way of trying to make up for past sins. There is this vigilante known as the Hood, who does not follow the law, and always wear a mystical cloak that gives him powers. Laura Kinney is mostly known as X-23, and is a mutant who was artificially created using Wolverine's DNA to serve as a private assassin. She escaped the project, and due to her brutal upbringing, she became a fierce independent warrior with abilities like superhuman strength, enhanced senses and reflexes, increased durability and agility, and also has the adamantium claws that come out of her hands and feet. And now to a strong man known as Luke Cage, who was just a man that was unfairly incarcerated and illegally tested on a prison experiment that gave him unbreakable skin and superhuman strength. He used his newly given abilities to protect ordinary civilians from evil people and corrupt leaders. He worked as a bulletproof vigilante to protect Harlem independently with no one's help. Iron Fist was a hero from a man called Danny Rand. He was the living weapon of a force called Conlan, and was gifted with deadly hands that flow with the mystic energies of Shou Lao, often working with Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. Iron Fist prefers working alone with the help of his rich family dynasty to clean New York from corruption and evil. Nighthawk is a vigilante in Marvel Universe who uses jet-powered artificial wings that enable him to fly through the air. He can fly at speeds of 160 miles per hour and still be able to breathe. He is just like Batman, who operates solo with a brutal sense of justice. He is a skilled acrobat and a combatant, and can also see in the dark with his night vision tech. And just like the bird called Nighthawk, he also possesses sharp claws for grabbing and fighting, and can also shoot lasers from his suit. The Shroud from Marvel is a crime fighter who pretends to be a villain in order to take down criminals from within. He does not depend on any law-enforcing officer to do what he can do, and always goes solo. Typhoid Mary is another complex character with dissociative identity disorder, and as much as she's an anti-hero, she sometimes works as a solo vigilante. Domino is another vigilante that operates outside the law, and is often linked with mercenary jobs and contracts with a moral edge, meaning that she only goes after people who deserves judgment. The Silver Sable is yet another mercenary vigilante and a spy with a code of honor, and will only take contracts if it is going after war criminals. Cloak and Dagger are two teenage vigilantes that include Tyrone Johnson, who is the Cloak, and Tandy Bowen as the Dagger. The Cloak has power over darkness and Dagger has power over light. Cloak has powers that include teleportation via darkness. He can induce insanity and paranoia to his victims. He can literally manipulate darkness. He draws strength from the fears of those he touches. He is intangible at might, and can also go invincible. And Dagger can use her daggers of light force to cleanse addictions and corruption from people. She can also use her light force daggers as sharp knives to inflict pain to others. She can see and steal the hopes of those she touches, and also has the power to heal through the power of light. They both mostly deal with drug dealers who are a virus in the world, and help those that can't help themselves. Agent Venom is a military veteran who uses the Venom symbiote for Black Ops missions, and is a vigilante who does not take orders from anyone. There is this Moon Girl and her devil dinosaur who always partner together and fight threats in their community. They belong to the Marvel Universe, and are always working alone without anyone's help. The iconic Batman is the caped crusader from Gotham, and is the greatest vigilante the world has ever seen. He only works alone, and is always in conflict with the law. He takes matters into his own hands with or without permission, and his dream is to cleanse Gotham from its filth and corruption. He uses gadgets like Flamethrower, ropes, explosives, smoke, and his famous Batmobile, which he uses on the roads and in the sky. Dick Grayson, aka Nightwing, was once Batman's Robin, but he grew up and decided it was time to go solo like his master. And just like the Bat, Nightwing operates in the dark and is always fighting against the order of the law. And even after Batman passed away, he was the one who took over the job as the Bat. Red Hood was another Robin who turned into a solo vigilante. But unlike Nightwing, Red Hood was more like a villain and less like a vigilante. After the Joker took his life, he was then resurrected in the Lazarus Pit, and he came out stronger, better, and more ruthless. Every gang and criminals feared him more than they feared Batman, mainly because he never left anyone alive. Barbara Gordon was Batgirl, and was a female version of Batman who fights crime as a vigilante as inspired by Batman. The Huntress also operated in Gotham, and was a villain that turned to a vigilante, and was known to use deadly force against criminals. The Green Arrow's real name is Oliver Queen, and he's a vigilante who uses arrows to fight crime at a street level. He operates in Star City, and his only ability is that he has reached the peak human physical and mental capabilities, and fights using his bow and arrows. Black Canary is a martial artist who is seen working with the Green Arrow a couple of times, and is a vigilante who is also sometimes an anti-hero. She is blessed with the power to scream using sonic abilities which can cause damage on its path. There is a vigilante known as the Question who mostly works as an investigator, and is guided with the same moral codes as Batman. Catwoman is a vigilante who was once a low-life thief in Gotham. She always crossed paths with Batman, and would later fall in love and marry, according to the comics. She became a vigilante in order to help Batman in his quest to protect Gotham from people like Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy. Azrael was a man called Jean-Paul Valley, and was a holy warrior who operated like Batman to fight injustice and corruption in the world. Spoiler started off as a prankster, and ended up as a crime-fighting vigilante who did not play around. Known to be ruthless, Spoiler is still a feared vigilante in DC. Orphan was a girl called Cassandra Cain, and is referred to as the daughter of assassins. She was trained to destroy, but she ran away from that kind of lifestyle and became a vigilante that fights crimes with deadly efficiency. Robin is the son of Batman known as Damian Wayne. He was trained by his grandfather to be a ruthless fighter, and at the age of 14, he could go one-on-one with Batman. He was a ruthless boy who used lethal force and anger to clean Gotham from filth and gangsters. He never followed the rules of Batman or even the law, and only listened to his own instincts. Jamie Reyes was the Blue Beetle, and was a young boy who was biofused with an alien tech called the Scarab. It gave him powers to clean up the streets from human and alien threats alike. Before joining the Outsiders, Jamie functioned alone, and was always listening to what the Scarab wanted. Another vigilante was called Vigilante, literally. He was a former judge that stopped believing in the system of governance and law, and instead turned into someone who deals with crooks using brutal justice. Rorschach from The Watchmen is a vigilante that wears a shifting inkblot mask and takes justice into his own hands. And even though he was a member of the Watchmen group, he didn't go on missions with them, but would instead go on solo hunts at night. The Creeper from DC is a strange and chaotic vigilante that has super strength and the power to heal himself after fights. He operates alone, and his appearance looks like he's straight from a horror movie. The iconic Deadshot is still regarded to be one of the deadliest assassins in the DC universe. He is usually paid to do dirty works by organizations, and is regularly in conflict with Batman and his Robins. He possesses abnormal accuracy, and never misses when it comes to shooting using any kind of weapons and guns. Katana is a vigilante that wields a mystical sword that has the power to capture souls that it slains, and she works for justice outside the system of law, kind of like Batman and everyone we've talked about today. Lobo is not a villain, and is just a paid space bounty hunter and a chaos agent who operates by his own rules. He has faced people like the Green Lantern and Superman, and also has helped in putting dangerous villains behind bars. Zatanna is a powerful sorceress who casts spells by saying what she wants backwards. She is a magic user who often works in the shadows, and is known to handle supernatural threats. Her powers include the ability to control and manipulate every nature's element. She has the power of telekinesis, telepathy, and can cast every spell known to man. John Constantine is an occult detective from Liverpool and a member of the Dark Justice League. He has the antisocial attitude and always works alone to cast out demons and send them back to hell. Basically, he is a trickster who fights evil forces without following anyone's rules. Ragman from DC is a vigilante who wears a suit that is literally made of souls and is known to punish the guilty without the help of the system. Black Lightning is just a secondary member of the Justice League, is a being that uses electricity to protect his community, and is known to be in bad terms with the law due to his unlawful punishments. And finally, Tim Drake, who was the initial Robin. He was a genius detective just like Batman, and a strategist who operated in the shadows to take down crooks and criminals. When we talk about the Justice League, we always mention names like the Green Lantern, Superman, Batman, Aquaman, and the lot. But there is more to the team, and that is why today we shall be looking at the 7 founding members of the team, then look at all the other heroes who joined later in their career. Some came from the JSA, some matured from the Teen Titans, and some came from other planets trying to fit in the team and save the galaxy. So here are all the Justice League members and their superpowers. We shall begin with Superman, who is one of the original founding members, and is gifted with powers that include superhuman strength, flight, heat vision. He can move at super speeds, he is invulnerable, he has freeze breath, and also has enhanced senses like hearing from great distances and seeing things beyond other objects. Batman is also a founding member and the actual leader of the whole group. He has no powers but is at the peak human conditioning that a man could reach. He is an expert martial artist. He is good at detective skills, his intellect is unmatched, and his technology is just beyond any other on Earth. The Amazonian called Wonder Woman is a fierce warrior and a founding member of the team. She has powers like superhuman strength, agility, she can fly, her combat skills is beyond that of 1,000 men. And not to forget her magical weapons like the Lasso of Truth, indestructible bracelets, and her God-Killer sword that can destroy both gods and beasts. Another founding member is the Flash, who is the fastest being on Earth. He can also time travel, can phase through objects, can generate lightning, and is also strong with the Speed Force connection. Hal Jordan was the first Green Lantern to join the Justice League, and was among the founding members. He has the Green Lantern ring that can generate energy constructs, helps him fly, creates force fields, and grants Hal Jordan interstellar travel. Aquaman is the god and king of all the oceans and seas on Earth, and is also among the founding members. He has the Atlantean physiology, which includes super strength, speed, durability, can communicate with all of aquatic life, and is also a master with the Trident's magic. And the last founding member include Martian Manhunter, who is an alien from another planet with powers like shape-shifting, telepathy, telekinesis. He can turn invincible at will. He can also become intangible, kind of like a ghost. He can fly and is also very, very strong. Now, John Stewart is a Green Lantern who joined the team later, and is blessed with the same ring and powers that Hal Jordan has. What makes him a little different from Hal is his military strategy, and is a born leader who led the Green Lanterns to battle during his time at the Green Lantern Corps. And another Green Lantern who joined the League is Guy Gardner, a special combatant with the Green Lantern ring who always helped Hal Jordan in protecting Earth, even before they both joined the team. Hawkwoman was a no-nonsense warrior with powers like flight, enhanced strength, combat skills, and had a special metal weapon that was indestructible in the hands of men. Black Canary came from Justice Society of America and joined the Justice League. She had a powerful scream that could rip anything to pieces, and was also an expert martial artist who could take any man down. Zatanna belongs to the Justice League known as Dark, which is responsible for protecting mortals from spiritual attacks like demons and witchcraft. She can cast powerful magic spells that can send any evil spirit back to hell. She can also cast illusions, and can manipulate and alter reality as we know it. Vixen is an African-based member with powers of animal mimicry, which means that she can acquire any power from any animal through her special Tanta totem, which she wears around her neck. Plastic Man is another Justice League member with abilities like elasticity, shape-shifting, and is purely invulnerable to everything except freezing temperatures. Firestorm is a mixture of two people, Ronnie Raymond and Martin Stein. They have the power of nuclear fusion, matter manipulation, and can also fly. Cyborg came from the Teen Titans Academy and is a hero with cybernetic enhancements, advanced technology interface, and powerful weapons. Red Tornado is an artificial intelligent android with powers like wind manipulation, flight, and advanced android durability. Captain Atom was once a founding member of the Justice Society of America who joined forces with the Justice League and is a being with nuclear energy manipulation. He can fly and is also blessed with super strength. Blue Beetle started with the Outsiders before joining the team and is a boy with alien technology which grants him enhanced strength, weapons, and flight. The Atom is the Ant-Man of DC and is a hero who can change his size at will. He also has the capabilities of molecular manipulation and is also a scientific genius. Elongated Man is kind of similar to Plastic Man because he has all the powers of elasticity, but he can't shapeshift like Plastic Man and is also very good in detective skills. Hawkman is an ancient Egyptian and an immortal who joined the team with abilities like flight, enhanced strength, and combat skills. Black Lightning started off as a single vigilante before joining the team and is a man fused with powers like electrokinesis, which means that he has the ability to generate electricity from his body and is also a very good martial art expert. There is this superhero known as Orion, who has the power of Astroforce manipulation. He is super strong and can also fly at dangerous speeds. Power Girl is a Kryptonian with the same powers as Superman, example like super strength, flight, and heat vision. Shazam is a boy who transforms into a hero with strength, speed, wisdom, and magical abilities granted to him by the gods. Dr. Fate was another member of the JSA who joined the Justice League, and he mostly worked with Zatanna concerning spiritual affairs and witchcraft. He could cast mystical spells without talking, he could manipulate reality, he could fly, and was also a being with immense strength. The Question was just a man like Batman with detective skills, martial arts, and was a very good investigator. Wildcat came from the JSA and is a hero with enhanced agility, strength, and is extremely skilled in hand-to-hand combat. Mr. Terrific is a man called Michael Holt and is a genius intellect with enhanced technology skills, especially with the T-spheres, and is also good in martial arts. The Spectre is another member of the team with divine vengeance. He can alter reality itself and can also be intangible at will. Huntress was once Batman's sidekick who later joined the team after growing up. She is an expert marksman and really good in combat. Maxima is a woman with psionic abilities like telepathy and telekinesis, and is also gifted with strength and a very huge fighting sword, and is able to fly too. Vibe mostly teamed up with Supergirl and Steel, but is still a member of the Justice League with powers of vibrational shockwaves and interdimensional sensing. Another woman that joined the team was Ice, whose real name is Tora Olafsdottir. She has the power of cryokinesis and can also generate ice from her body. Beatriz da Costa's hero name is Fire, and is blessed with the power of pyrokinesis and the ability to produce fire like a firebender. Booster Gold is a hero from the future who traveled back in time to help save the future by joining the League. He was equipped with advanced technology from the future that helped him fly and create force fields. Mary Marvel was introduced by Shazam to the Justice League and is a hero with similar powers to Shazam. Starfire started in Teen Titans but later joined the Justice League, and her powers included her iconic Starbolts, which were powerful energy blasts that she could generate. She could fly and was very strong. Raven also started in the Teen Titans and is an empath and a magician who can also project her soul and can travel into other dimensions at will. Beast Boy started in the Doom Patrol team before joining the Teen Titans and later the Justice League. He has the power to shapeshift into any animal that has ever existed and can also regenerate his cells after brutal fights. Cassandra Cain became Batgirl after serving under Batman and is a martial artist with enhanced senses and reflexes. Damian Wayne is the legitimate son of Batman and is a Robin that led the Teen Titans before joining the Big Boys. He is good in martial arts, detective skills, and is very stealthy just like Batman. Manitou Raven is a Justice League member and an expert in Native American shamanistic magic, enhanced senses and strength, and has lived for hundreds of years. Ultra was the first superhuman on Earth Prime who came to our world and joined the Justice League with powers like superhuman strength, super speed, flight, telekinesis, and telepathy. And finally Gypsy, who is among the latest additions to the team, and is good in casting illusions. Invincibility, she can camouflage herself like a chameleon. She has limited precognition, which means that she can tell some parts of the future, and she can also astral project. Every Marvel character is just a remake of what DC Comics has already made. Here are some few characters from Marvel that are a carbon copy of DC. With the help of the watch, Ben can without a doubt beat any hero and actually win. Batman can be knocked unconscious with forearms and would not last 5 minutes. With the forearms and super strength, it would be like fighting the Hulk, which would make Batman lose the fight and possibly lose his life. Hal Jordan would be a hard nut to crack, but with the Ghost Freak alien, Ben would possess him and destroy him from the inside out. Flash would be so hard to catch due to his inhuman speeds, but with the help of Accelerate, Ben would most probably match his speeds. Wonder Woman is a hard fighter and an immovable force, and that is why Diamond Head would be the only one to put her in her place. He can be able to regenerate his body and stamina after fights, which would make Wonder Woman's attacks null and void. Spider-Man is a quick-moving and a quick-attacking person, and to match his agility, we are going to give him Fast Track, who could potentially outmaneuver Spider-Man in a fight due to his speed and enhanced senses. Iron Man wears a tech suit and hides inside like a coward. Upgrade would just take control of his armor and possibly shut it down for good or control it however he seems fit. Thor is a god and a powerful one at that. Taking him down would require someone as big as way big to counter his strength and his magical hammer. And even though it would be hard to win, he would still offer a worthy challenge. Captain America is just a man with drugs in his system and a shield. Humongosaur would be the perfect fit to defeat this clown, and just one punch would be enough to defeat the American Joke. Another joke is Hawkeye, who is the low-budget remake of Robin Hood, and a few volts of electricity from Shock Squatch would be enough to make Hawkeye crispy. The African king known as the Black Panther would be a worthy opponent, but due to his technological suit, Upgrade would shut him down and the whole of Wakanda in mere seconds. Superman is deemed unbeatable without kryptonite, but with the help of Alien X, Ben would actually win. This alien has reality warping abilities and cosmic powers that would be too much for the Man of Steel. Doctor Strange would also be defeated by Alien X, and his magic and witchcraft would not be enough to beat the cosmic alien. Since Aquaman is a man of water, he can be countered by swamp fire. He can use unlimited shots of fireballs at Aquaman, and even if Aquaman decided to hide in water, Ben can change into an alien called Big Chill, who could freeze the whole ocean with Aquaman in it. The Daredevil is blind, and he depends more on his other senses like the sense of hearing. We can give him Echo Echo, who can scream in very loud sonic screams, and this would make Daredevil lose his ability to depend on his hearing capabilities and render him vulnerable. Wolverine seems unbeatable due to his regenerating factor, but there is this alien known as Chromastone, who has the ability of absorption and could absorb Wolverine's adamantium claws if they made contact with him. Punisher is just another useless man playing with guns. Feedback could be the best option, and would absorb and redirect the Punisher's weapon-based attacks, hence taking him down in the first 10 seconds. Luke Cage has superhuman strength and stamina, but when paired with forearms, he is just another gym influencer who could be taken down with a few punches. Shazam has the strength of Hercules and the wisdom of Solomon and all that other nonsense. Alien X is completely free of magical powers, and this would make Shazam like a flying insect, and would be destroyed pretty fast. Green Arrow is just another Robin Hood knockoff. Accelerate would dodge all of his arrows and beat him up with super speed punches. Ant-Man can grow very big and so can Way Big. The only difference is that Way Big is more stronger than Ant-Man, and that would make Ant-Man just another ant. Hulk is stronger than Forearms, and that is why he deserves someone stronger like Alien X, who can destroy the Green Hulk with ease using his reality warping abilities. And finally, the infamous Doctor Doom, who is another weird villain that hides in his tech suit. Upgrade would also be the one to take down his technological suit and render him completely helpless and useless. Invincible is so hyped right now. With his flight and powerful strength, speed, and agility, he seems invincible. But when it comes to other beings from Marvel and DC, he appears to be an insect. Superman can wipe him out with his superhuman strength, indestructibility, and heat vision. His Kryptonian powers are just too much for the kid. The Incredible Hulk can make Superman bleed, and that means he can do wonders to the 18-year-old Viltrumite with his abominable strength and rage. Thor can use his enchanted hammer and his godly strength to completely whoop Invincible's butt. The famous Dr. Manhattan has godlike powers, which includes the ability to manipulate matter at an atomic level, and this makes him an overwhelming force that can defeat Invincible with a wave of his hand. When Thanos wears the Infinity Gauntlet, he can do what he did to the Avengers. He can manipulate reality and use his raw titanic strength to put Invincible down. There is a godlike creature in Marvel known as the One Above All, and is a supreme being who can erase Invincible from existence with a single thought. Galactus is known as the Devourer of Worlds, and is an entity with cosmic powers and a vast size that makes him far too much powerful for Invincible to handle. Darkseid is a titan that beats the whole of the Justice League single-handedly. His Omega beams and godlike strength can overpower Invincible, and he can also use the anti-life equation. Saitama is unbeatable. With his punch, he can beat Justice League, the Avengers, and all the Viltrumites plus the Celestials combined. The presence from DC is the ultimate being in the whole of the DC universe, and with the ability to create and destroy, he can completely wipe Invincible from existence. Franklin Richards is one of the most powerful mutants in Marvel who can warp reality with his godlike abilities, and this would make him completely a monster to Invincible. Dr. Fate is a powerful sorcerer who, with the helmet of Nabu, can manipulate magic and reality itself, and this makes him a tough nut to crack. Shazam is just a boy with the power of the gods. He possesses super strength, speed, and magical abilities which make him capable of defeating Invincible in 5 minutes tops. Wanda Maximoff has reality-altering abilities that can reshape the fabric of reality itself, and this makes her a god compared to the teenage boy named Invincible. Jean Grey from Marvel has the Phoenix powers that have the ability to manipulate matter and energy on a cosmic scale, making her more than capable of defeating the boy. There is an entity known as the Living Tribunal, which is a being with absolute power over reality, and Invincible would stand no chance against such an entity. The Anti-Monitor is a being of immense power and is capable of destroying entire universes. His strength and cosmic abilities will inevitably overwhelm Invincible. Magneto from X-Men is a mutant with the ability to control metal. So basically he can bloodbend Invincible's blood and torture him till he can't anymore. Zeno-sama from Dragon Ball is a supreme being who is able to erase entire universes with a single thought, and that means Invincible has no chance against him. And finally Yawatch, who is a king with the ability to control the future, and can easily predict and counter all of Invincible's moves. He is just like Adam in Record of Ragnarok. Most of the popular superheroes are from America and Europe. Superman is based in the USA, Spider-Man from New York, even Brazil has their very own Antony. But today we are going to look for superheroes on the other side of the world, which is the dark continent of Africa. Black Panther is the most popular hero in Africa. He is based in Wakanda, which is a mythical land in Uganda, and he is a king known for his enhanced strength, agility, and his advanced technology of vibranium. Ororo Munroe, who is popularly known as Storm in the X-Men, is a powerful mutant who originated from Kenya and is recognized as the woman who can control and manipulate weather. Shuri is the younger sister of Black Panther and is also from Wakanda. She is a genius inventor and a skilled fighter who took over the role as the ruler of Wakanda after his brother. M'Baku, also known as Manape, was once a friend of the Black Panther who turned against him, and is also an African blood known for his strength and fighting skills. Bast is the Panther goddess of Wakanda who was responsible for giving the Black Panthers powers. Vixen, aka Mari McCabe, is a superhero from DC who can mimic the abilities of other animals, and is a beautiful heroine based in the gorgeous land of Zambezi. There is a superhero in an African folklore who goes by the name Kola, and is one who possesses mystical powers related to the African trees and heritage. Takanda, aka the Black Leopard, is a distant relative of Black Panther who existed in ancient Wakanda. Adamu is one of the most interesting African hero, and is a man based in the future timeline of Africa who fights for justice and equality in a technologically advanced society. Nia is a Swahili name which means intentions, and she's an African superhero most probably from Kenya or Tanzania, and is known for using magic to fight evil forces. Anansi is like an African Loki, and is a trickster god and hero with the everlasting power to outwit and manipulate. Amina is a powerful hero from West Africa who protects her people from supernatural threats. The famous Okoye is a legend in Wakanda, and is a fierce warrior and the leader of the Dora Milaje and the bodyguard of Tekala. Kahina is a beautiful warrior from Kenya who traveled to North Africa, and is known for her power to control the elemental forces and protecting her people's heritage. Warda the Elemental is a female superhero with the ability to control natural elements from Africa's various environments. Ishmael, aka Kalima, was once a villain who turned into a hero, and was someone who had the ability to control mystical forces related to ancient Egyptian magic. Bujang is a hero in West Africa who has the ability to summon animal spirits for protection against the dark forces of evil. Zubri the Mighty is an African version of Superman, and is basically a black Superman with a white cap and green suit, and has abilities like super strength, can fly at insane speeds, he is invulnerable, and unlike Superman, he does not hide his true identity from the people. And finally Cheetah, who is the longest living enemy of Wonder Woman, and her true origins are somewhere in East Africa. She came to America as a normal woman looking for work, but her desperation led to bad choices, making her work with dangerous people for money. Batman is the greatest hero vigilante in all of the comic universe. But some heroes in both DC and Marvel have similar aesthetic and dark persona, just like the Caped Crusader. And some fight in the shadow, some are rich, and some are even mysterious and unknown to many. And today we are going to look at some of those heroes and vigilante alike. First is Moon Knight, who is often compared to Batman for his dark and brooding persona, and also uses a variety of gadgets just like Batman. He is a vigilante who fights for justice in the shadows. Another one is the Shadow, who is a crime fighter from the 1930s that wears a dark cape and a hat, and also fights crime in the shadows. The Question from DC also works from the shadows and solves mysteries while seeking justice without any powers, just like Batman. Nighthawk from Marvel Universe is a rich vigilante who has a bat-like costume and fights crime in the city, exactly like the Gotham Knight. The Green Hornet, just like the Bat, also relies on gadgets and his crime-fighting skills to uphold justice. The Black Panther also has a tech suit and is good in combat skills with a strong sense of justice similar to that of Batman's. Rorschach from The Watchmen is a masked vigilante with a strong moral code, and just like Batman, he sometimes uses force and violence to fight crime with his dark and mysterious appearance. Batgirl is a highly trained vigilante who, just like Batman, uses her intellect and her gadgets to combat crime in Gotham. The Dark Archer from the Arrowverse is a skilled archer and a crime fighter with a dark and intimidating appearance. And exactly like Batman, he always hides and operates in the shadows. Phantom is actually the first masked hero in the comics, and just like our guy, he wears a brooding costume and always seeks justice in his area. Dick Grayson was once Batman's Robin, and he also wears a dark costume and operates similarly to his master. Another hero is Catman from DC, who was once a villain with the exact qualities as Batman's, including his suit, using gadgets and his martial arts expertise. The Beautiful Huntress from DC is a vigilante like Batman who also operates in Gotham, and she uses her fighting skills and weapons to fight crime. Wildcat from DC is a member of the Justice Society, and he is also good in martial arts and also has a similar dark costume to that of Batman. Red Hood was another Robin, but he went on a solo vigilante ride after his meeting with the Joker, and his fighting skills were actually lessons from Batman in which he uses to fight crime in his own violent way. Batwoman is just the female version of Batman, and is a fierce and a no-nonsense vigilante in Gotham who uses a bat costume and fights crime with similar gadgets to Batman's. Daredevil is a martial artist who is also blessed with a high intelligence, and often operates in the shadows of his own Gotham known as Hell's Kitchen. Steel from DC has a suit with a higher tech than that of Batman, but his crime fighting as a vigilante with his determination to justice tells you exactly why he is exactly the copy of our guy. The Spectre of DC is just like Batman with his mystical entity and a dark, brooding appearance, and his quest for justice is also what Batman does. The man called Zorro is actually rumored to be the main inspiration for Batman, as he also uses a cape, mask, gadgets to fight injustice just like Batman. Cyborg is one of the main founding members of the Justice League. He is a man infused with an artificial intelligence machine body, and is a hero capable of hacking any computer system, can fire many weapons from his body, and can also fly and dismember any part of his limbs at will. And as good as he is not the only cyborg in the universe. So today we shall look at heroes and villains who are built the same as Cyborg, and others who wear a suit similar to the functions of a cyborg. We start with Iron Man, who is a genius billionaire inventor that wears a powered armor suit that grants him similar powers and abilities to that of Cyborg. The suit offers strength, flight, and many weapons just like Cyborg's technological upgrades. RoboCop is a law enforcement officer who was transformed into a cyborg after being severely injured, and just like Cyborg, his human instincts were perfectly blended with machine upgrades. The Terminator T-800 is a machine that has a human appearance and often has a complex mixture of both organic and robotic components similar to that of Cyborg. Deathlock is a Marvel hero whose body has been augmented with cybernetic enhancements that blend military technology with his human form similar to Cyborg. There is this hero known as the $6 Million Man, who is also referred to as Steve Austin, and is a former astronaut who had a near-fatal accident just like Cyborg, and was later built with bionic limbs and enhancements which allowed him to have superhuman strength and speed. Machine Man, also known as Aaron Stark, is a robot who struggles with his humanity exactly like Cyborg, and he also tried to live in a world that saw him different due to his robotic nature. Nathan Summers, aka Cable, is a mutant hero who has a cybernetic arm, eye, and other enhancements due to his time-traveling backstory and the need for technology to survive. The Vision from Avengers is an android hero with a synthetic body created from a combination of advanced technology and human DNA. And just like Cyborg, he struggles to understand humanity despite his biological make in his mind. The Red Tornado from Justice League is a superhero android with a humanoid form who is often seen as a machine with a heart. And just like Cyborg, he tries his best to balance his human side and technological upgrades. Aquawoman, whose real name is Lorena Marquez, is a version of Aquawoman who has cybernetic enhancements to help her control and manipulate water, exactly how Cyborg uses his technological abilities for different purposes. Samus Aran from the Metroid franchise is a girl who wears a powered suit that enhances her abilities, and is a human with mechanical augmentation similar to Cyborg. John Henry Irons is a Superman fan who built a powered exosuit to fight crime. This specific suit gives him enhanced strength and durability similar to Cyborg's capabilities. Dr. Otto Octavius is a villain who deserves to be on this list. He has cybernetic arms that provide him with superhuman strength and precision, much like Cyborg's enhancements. Major Motoko Kusanagi from The Ghost in the Shell is a cybernetic enhanced woman in a futuristic world, and is someone who blends human consciousness with advanced technological upgrades. The Atom is not heavily enhanced like Cyborg, but his advanced suit which manipulates size and gives him enhanced powers makes him more like Cyborg. Miracle Man is a superhero whose human form is enhanced by scientific procedures that allow him to tap into godlike abilities, much like Cyborg's human side being enhanced with technology. Another character from Marvel is Technocrat, who is a skilled engineer that uses technology to give him superhuman abilities and augment his body in similar ways to Cyborg. Superman is the most powerful hero in both DC and Marvel Universe. With his invulnerability and strength, nothing and nobody comes close. Well, except for people like Hyperion, who is the exact copy of Superman. He belongs to the Marvel Universe, and is also known for his invulnerability, flight, and immense strength. He even has a cap and a tight suit which is the exact same design like Superman's. Another hero from Marvel known as Sentry has godlike powers, and also has Superman's strength and flight. Mr. Majestic from DC is another character that perfectly resembles our Man of Steel. He can fly, has immense strength, and can also travel at insane speeds. The Blue Marvel from Marvel Comics is a hero with powers that perfectly resembles Superman's, as he can fly and has super strength too. Gladiator from Marvel was a member of the Sheer Imperial Guard, and was as strong as Superman, could fly, and was barely invulnerable. Billy Batson aka Shazam serves with Superman in the Justice League, and is just as strong, has super speed flight, and is also a hero with the strongest willpower just like Superman. The reason Martian Manhunter is in this list is because he is often considered as one of the most powerful beings in the DC universe, exactly like Superman. Monica Rambeau, aka the Spectrum, is one of Marvel's heroes, and is often compared to Superman due to her strength and flight capabilities. Freddie Freeman is another Shazam character in DC who also has the same magical powers of Billy, which are just as Superman's. Prime was the first example of Superman from the Wildstorm imprint, and is known to have the same abilities and backstories like Superman does. Wonder Man from Marvel is not as strong as Superman, but his invulnerability and his strength makes him quite more similar to the Man of Steel. Stargirl is weak and vulnerable, yes, but she still shares the idealistic qualities like indomitable will and bravery with Superman. Captain Atom was once teammates with Superman in the Justice League, and he also possesses immense power and can manipulate energy similar to Superman's abilities. The Nova, known as Richard Rider, is a cosmic hero with powers resembling those of Superman. Powers like flight, strength, and agility. Solar, who is also known as the Man of the Atom, is a godlike entity with energy manipulation powers and also super strength. Bob Parr from The Incredibles also compares with Superman because of his super strength, durability, and his speed. Supreme was actually a character very much inspired by Superman with similar abilities and also a similar costume. Mirage from Marvel is a character who, just like Superman, has super strength, can fly, and is purely invulnerable. Icon from the Justice League is a hero with extreme strength just like Superman, and can also fly at super speeds as well. And finally, Red Sonja from the Marvel Universe, who has super strength, also possess a courageous spirit, and her will also compares to that of Superman's. Batman is just a man in a costume. He has no special powers, and depends on money and his gadgets to be a hero. But this ordinary man can take down a full god like Superman, and we've seen it multiple times like in The Dark Knight Returns and some other animated versions. He uses his skilled strategy and kryptonite to put him down. He can also defeat the Green Lantern by playing mind games, as we very well know that the Ring is vulnerable to confusion and surprise attacks, which Batman is good at. And since the Flash is untouchable, the only way to take away his speed is by exploiting his powers directly from the Speed Force, and forcing him to overextend his abilities, which will make him run out of power and be vulnerable to attacks. Batman has beaten Wonder Woman a couple of times already, which means that, with the right strategy and planning, he can put the Amazonian down. Aquaman is a god in the sea, but when he gets out of water, Batman can teach him a lesson or two using his tech and gadgets. And the only way to beat the Martian Manhunter is by using fire, which weakens and can even destroy him. Cyborg is just a computer, and even the high-tech version used to make him can be hacked or be altered by electromagnetism. Green Arrow is just a joke. Batman is stronger than him and is more skilled than him. Black Canary is a villain that can scream in sonic waves, and she needs a few seconds to recharge her screams. Batman can use those few seconds to teach that woman a lesson. Zatanna needs to cast out spells using words. So the only way Batman can beat her is through sneak attacks, which he is good at, to be honest. The Blue Beetle is powered by the Scarab, which is an alien biotechnological weapon. Batman's tech is good in counter-programming, and it would take him a minute to corrupt the Scarab. Since Batman is an intellect, it wouldn't take him much time to figure out that Plastic Man, just like any other rubber, can be destroyed by freezing temperatures, so he can just use a freezing weapon to crush Plastic Man into pieces. Firestorm is a mixture of two people, so if Batman takes either of them, then it's game over. Hawkman is an angel-like hero, but the only problem he has is his rage and anger issues. And since angry people only think with their muscles, it would make his moves very predictable and Batman's job very easy in destroying him. And that also goes for Hawkwoman, whose emotions will cloud her judgment and be so straightforward in battling Batman. Adam, aka Ray Palmer, is just a man who can become small and huge. Batman has faced worse people than that. Batgirl is just Batman's knockoff, and her skills and gadgets are just child's play to Batman. Nightwing, on the other hand, has been trained by Batman since he was a kid, and this means that his master knows all his moves, and this goes to Red Hood as well, who is again vulnerable to emotional manipulation. Vixen relies on her Tanta Totem for powers, and this means that Batman can just target this particular artifact and snatch it to stop and defeat her. Booster Gold is 100% vulnerable when his technology is neutralized, and I don't think I need to say more. Even Marvel heroes like Iron Man can face Batman's wrath, because we know that apart from his technology, Iron Man has nothing, but Batman has a high level of fighting skills and decision-making. Captain America can match Batman in hand-to-hand combat, but Batman is still equipped with various gadgets which can overwhelm the American joke. Black Panther can match Batman in combat and technology, so it's going to be hard to say who can be left standing in this particular duel. The Daredevil is a skillful fighter, but again Batman can be saved by his gadgets and gear to outsmart the blind man from Hell's Kitchen. Hawkeye is just a human with sharpshooting abilities. Batman can outsmart his moves with his superhuman intelligence and tactics. The Black Widow is close in combat ability with Batman, but let's be honest, Batman is physically stronger and smarter than this woman. Falcon is just a man with wings. He is weaker and less sufficient in fights when we compare him to Batman. Cyclops is a dangerous man with blasting abilities, but the only problem is that he needs to aim his target to shoot, and Batman can counter his moves with smoke or even fight him in the dark where he cannot see. Iceman is a man made of ice, literally. Batman can use his thermal gear and heaters to melt this frozen mutant. Luke Cage is one of the strongest heroes physically, but a single knockout gas from Batman can do the job instantly. And if Batman can face the Hulk, he can also face She-Hulk, who is much less predictable and less stronger than her male counterpart. And finally the Punisher, who is just another man playing with weapons, and Batman has faced people like Bane and Joker who are more fierce than him. A hero like Ben 10 depends on his watch, all the Green Lanterns depend on their rings, and even the Caped Crusader depends on his gadgets and his Batmobile. And they are not the only ones. Today we are going to look at other superheroes who rely on their weapons in fights. Wonder Woman mostly depends on her lasso of truth, her God-Killer sword, her shield, and her magic armor. Without them, she could suffer a lot during battles. Hawkeye from the Avengers is just a man using a bow and arrows. Take that away from him and he'd just be an ordinary civilian. Green Arrow is just like Hawkeye, a man who wholly depends on his bow and arrows to take enemies down. The Punisher is an army veteran with firearms, knives, and other military weapons. Basically, he is just a man with rage and PTSD. Blade also depended mostly on his swords and other various blades. Thor is a god of thunder who commands lightning from the heavens, but during fights, he mostly depends on his hammer to take out more of his enemies. Captain America is just a man with the super soldier serum and always uses his vibranium shield in times of battles. Deadpool is indestructible, but during fights, he mostly uses weapons like swords, guns, and anything he can hold in his hands. Daredevil is a master martial artist and is always seen fighting with his billy clubs and other multi-purpose weapons. The Black Widow is just a girl who always wanted to prove herself to the Avengers, and she always uses guns, her batons, and other various gadgets. The Silver Samurai is a dangerous assassin who uses his katana and other energy-based powers. The Great Shang-Chi is a martial artist who mostly uses the 10 rings and other weapons including swords and daggers. Lady Shiva is a master martial artist who uses weapons like blades and katanas during battles. The Black Knight was a strong rider who mostly used his enchanted sword to take out his ops. Red Hood was once Robin, and he always used weapons like guns, knives, and other tactical weapons he sees fit. X-23 is the clone of Logan, so it's fair for her to use her retractable claws and other combat knives. Elektra is an electric force of nature who uses swords in battles. Huntress was another useless hero who only depended on her crossbow and other minor weapons. And Ghost Rider, a man with powers straight from hell. He mostly used his flaming chain to destroy anything, and also other hellfire-infused weapons which he got along the way. Being a hero ain't easy. Fighting criminals and protecting civilians as a full-time job needs a lot of dedication and sacrifice. The heroes of today's episode sadly did not have the required patience and sacrifice, making them turn into the people they swore to defeat. Anakin Skywalker, a Jedi Knight in Star Wars, was corrupted by evil and went on to become the greatest Sith Lord after Palpatine. Harley Quinn was once a beloved psychiatrist who helped others fight their inner demons. But then she met Joker, who turned her into a ruthless crook and a dangerous killer. Frank Castle, better known as the Punisher, started off fighting crime and overtaking the criminals who bribed their way out of jail. But his thirst for justice made him turn from a vigilante to a ruthless killer and a merciless executioner. Eddie Brock from Marvel was once just a man and a good friend to Peter Parker, but ever since he symbiotically formed with Venom, he became an anti-hero and later a villain who loved eating heads. Wanda from Marvel was once an Avenger, but in some timelines like the Multiverse of Madness, she was seen to be a very powerful and unstoppable witch who was basically indestructible and did whatever she wanted. The famous Magneto started off as a good friend to Professor X and an important member of the X-Men, but due to greed for power, he later became an arch-enemy of the X-Men and a mutant villain who belonged to the X-Force. Jason Todd was once the Robin to Batman, and the only problem with him was that he wanted to execute people, which was not the Batman way. So he later went solo and became an anti-hero and a vigilante altogether. The iconic Harvey Dent was once a district attorney in Gotham who wanted to be its mayor. He was so sick of watching crooks going unpunished in court so he took matters in his own hands and became the coin-flipping Two-Face that we know. Ozymandias, also known as Adrian Veidt, was initially a superhero who belonged to the Watchmen, but his obsession with the greater good agenda turned him into a terrifying villain. Warren Worthington III was an angelic hero in the X-Men group who turned to a villain and joined the X-Force. Now, in some alternate realities, Ant-Man went by the name Yellow Jacket, and was an Avenger who later turned rogue and became an enemy to who and what he was. Bruce Banner in most Avenger films was a heroic Avenger. But in Planet Hulk, he was banished from Earth due to his unending rage and becoming a danger to civilians. The beautiful Selina Kyle started as a minor burglar in Gotham, and was also Bruce Wayne's friend. She later turned into a full-blown villain after meeting Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn. And speaking of Poison Ivy, she was initially known as Pamela Isley, who was a botanist and loved nature, but later became humanity's greatest threat and an eco-terrorist villain. In Nightfall, Azrael was supposed to be Batman's replacement, but he had his own plans to become an anti-hero with violent tendencies. Pia Morales was just a lovely hero who suddenly turned into a vicious villain, and was also seen turning against her former friends. Vandal Savage was an immortal from the DC Comics universe who wanted to become a conqueror, but his thirst for world domination made him into a villain and an enemy to the Justice League. Edward Morgan went by the name Comedian, and was a former superhero and a member of the Watchmen who later turned into a solo vigilante and an anti-hero. Taith Adam was the most beloved hero in all of Egypt, but he was corrupted with all that power, which made him turn into a villain and an anti-hero, and the enemy of Shazam and the whole of the Justice League. Finally, we get to see Mr. Freeze, who was a scientist and a husband. But after his wife's death, he snapped and became a ferocious villain who wanted to freeze the whole Gotham City. And if you know others who I probably missed, feel free to share your opinions. Superheroes that are well-known introverts. Bruce Wayne prefers to work alone in his war on crime, and always distances himself from others due to his tragic past and also his sense of responsibility. Peter is quite introverted in his personal life, and often feels isolated and burdened by his dual identity. Even Barry Allen always tends to bottle up his emotions, and always deals with personal struggles like PTSD from his mother's tragic fate. The rich Tony Stark struggles with feelings of loneliness and self-doubt, and is always seen retreating to his work in order not to focus on his sadness. Matt Murdock, aka the Daredevil, is an introverted lawyer by day, and also struggles with his senses and internal conflicts. There is this Green Lantern known as John Stewart who tends to keep his emotions under control and his thoughts to himself. And this always leads to him being lonely and isolated from the other Green Lantern Corps. Dr. Stephen Strange is well known for being distant and introverted, and is often absorbed in his studies and magic. He'd rather retreat from the world and go to focus on his duties as the Sorcerer Supreme. Mark Spector, who is the Moon Knight, has a fractured personality, and is often seen battling his inner demons and chooses isolation over companionship. Frank Castle is known as a man of few words, and often prefers to work alone in isolation due to his tragic history. Walter Kovacs, who is best known as Rorschach in The Watchmen, is a deeply introverted vigilante who always avoids human connection by any means, and is always focusing on his strong sense of justice. The Nightcrawler is a very shy individual who always struggles with his self-image and confidence due to his physical appearance, and is always seen preferring solitude over company. Logan is a tough man and a bad boy, but his long life in immortality has made him emotionally distant from everyone, including his ex-team. The King of Wakanda has a reserved and introspective personality, and is often facing his duties and challenges as a king in solitude. Ben from the Fantastic Four has always been seen preferring being alone in solitude due to his monstrous appearance, and is always self-conscious and emotionally unstable. Even though he is a valued member of the Avengers, Clint Barton always preferred working alone, and always struggled with his past traumas and inner demons. Billy Batson is just a kid, and being a member of the Justice League always made him feel inferior to everyone else. And that's why he always masks his insecurities with jokes and being a freestyle hero. Scott Lang is another member of the Avengers who is always introspective with moments of self-doubt, and is always focusing on both duties as a full-time father and a full-time hero. Bruce Banner is a deeply introverted character both as Hulk and as Bruce, and always isolates himself most of the time from the group. Even Natasha Romanoff struggles with introversy and is always reserved and emotionally guarded. She prefers working alone due to her past when she served as a spy and assassin. And finally Vision, who is an artificial intelligence robot, who just like ChatGPT, struggles to understand human emotions and often distances himself from others, preferring introspection over interaction. Did I miss anyone? Let me know down in the comments. The following list includes superheroes and their kids. Batman has had many Robins who were not his biological children, but he fathered a boy named Damian Wayne, who was Talia's son and Ra's al Ghul's grandchild. He became the fifth Robin and the most violent due to being raised with the League of Assassins. Superman and Lois also had a child called Jonathan Kent, who inherited the Kryptonian powers and helped Superman in saving the world after he got old. The Green Arrow and Sandra Hawk had a son called Connor Hawk, who became a skilled archer just like his father, and even took the mantle of being the main Arrow after his father got old. The Flash and Iris West had twins, a boy called Don and a girl called Dawn. They inherited their father's powers and were known as the Tornado Twins for mastering the power of creating tornadoes that could potentially wipe out a whole city. Mr. Fantastic also had two kids, a son called Franklin Richards who became the most powerful mutant with the power to warp reality, and a daughter called Valeria, who inherited her father's intellect. Wolverine did not give birth to Laura Kinney, but his cells were used in creating her, making her the new Wolverine after the demise of Logan. In an X-Men original storyline, Magneto fathered both Pietro and Wanda Maximoff. Pietro became a speedster while Wanda became one of the most powerful mutants in Marvel history. Cyclops was the father of Nathan Summers, better known as Cable. He fathered Nathan with a lady called Madeline Pryor, who was a clone of Jean Grey. Cable became a time-traveling warrior with telepathic and telekinetic powers. Aquaman became the father to a boy called Arthur Curry Jr., who was also the son of Mera. He sadly passed away in the hands of Black Manta after an attack to Atlantis. Even Black Canary had an adoptive daughter known as Sin, who was a young martial artist that she rescued from a deadly cult. Roy Harper is also known as Arsenal or the Red Arrow. He was the former sidekick of Green Arrow and became a single father to his daughter Lien. Black Panther was also not left behind. He and Storm had a son called Azari, who inherited both lightning and the Panther powers. In the live action of Avengers, we saw Hawkeye's son called Nathaniel Barton. Luke Cage and Jessica Jones gave birth to Danielle Cage, who inherited super strength powers from both her parents and became so strong that she was made into the new Captain America. Spider-Man fathered a daughter called Mayday Parker, who inherited her father's genes and carried on her father's legacy as Spider-Girl. Did I miss anyone? Let me know down in the comments. The reason Superman became one of the greatest superheroes was because of good parenting from the Kents. And the reason Peter Parker grew to become a nice gentleman was because of his Uncle Ben and Aunt May. Even Batman, with his morals of not hitting women, that was something he couldn't learn without the teachings of Alfred. And that gave me the idea to research on other superheroes who grew to be better people because of their parents' morals. So who are they? What are their professions? Here are superheroes and their parents and what their professions were.
silhouettes burning, embers rising high, like a chemical fire, the flame won't die.
We fell in love with one or more Disney princesses during our lifetime. From their thick thighs to their smooth skin and gorgeous smile, these girls were perfect. I personally craved for Snow White because she was the first princess I saw on TV. But after I realized that she was a minor at only 14 years, I had to evacuate my thoughts. And now here are other princesses that I did some research on and calculated their more accurate ages from when they first appeared on our screens.
Barely scratching the surface. This obsession of mine is fueling the furnace. I'm up all night,
Ozai was one of the greatest, if not the greatest Fire Lord that ruled during the 100-Year War. Such authority needed a fierce and powerful leader, and that is who Ozai was. Apart from Avatar Aang, very few people had the power to take him down. And in today's episode, we are going to find out who had the ability and skill to defeat the Fire Lord. First, there is Katara, the greatest waterbender there ever was. During her early years, Katara would not have been an equal of Ozai, but when we look at her more mature years, we find the bloodbending Katara, the healer Katara, the ocean master Katara, which means that Ozai's fire would have been easily extinguished with Katara's skills. Bumi, on the other hand, was an old geezer who was the best earthbending king to ever live. His skills and experience would have left Ozai helpless. And for sure, fire cannot defeat stone. That's just how it is. The beautiful Ty Lee was not a bender, but had mastered the technique of striking at people's pressure, which left them paralyzed. This means that with her flexibility and acrobatic skills, she would have been able to dance her way into Ozai's proximity and deliver her paralyzing blows to his bending points. Even his own daughter Azula had a chance to defeat him. We saw this when Azula was chasing Team Avatar all across the world, and she was actually more feared than Ozai. Her ability to deliver lightning strikes with her acrobatic skills would have Ozai begging for mercy. Toph could have taken the whole world to its knees if she wanted to. Being able to sense Ozai's strikes at any given point would not be a challenge at all. Toph was inevitably the greatest bender to walk on Earth. Zuko, on the other hand, would not have been simple for him to take his father down, but we actually saw them fighting during the Black Sun, when he took Ozai down and almost finished him off with his swords. Meaning if Zuko had no mercy in his heart, Ozai would have fallen by his hands. And we can't talk about Katara without talking about Hama, who was the original bloodbender. With this skill, Ozai would not have lasted a minute. Iroh, Ozai's older brother, was the greatest firebender in the Fire Nation regime. With his nickname, the Dragon of the West, this man was the almighty general during the early years of the 100-Year War. The only reason he went soft is due to his son's unfortunate demise, which made his heart always in grieving mode. Even the Combustion Man was deadly. With his laser skill of pinpointing all his firebending skill into one combusting direction, this man was a force to be feared. This was the same man that even the Avatar feared and always ran away from. Those are some of the people in the show that made Ozai look like an amateur. What do you think? Who else would have been an easy shot on the Fire Lord? Let me know down in the comments. Superman is the strongest being to ever exist, but he is not completely vulnerable. I mean, we've seen him bleed in the hands of Batman, who by the way is just a normal man with no powers. His intellect and knowledge of kryptonite makes him a danger to the Man of Steel. Wonder Woman is a demigoddess with superior strength and magical weapons like the lasso of truth and the God-Killer sword. And we know that Superman is weakened by magic and kryptonite. Not all Green Lanterns can handle Superman, but Hal Jordan, with his skills and knowledge of Superman's weaknesses, could at least offer a worthy battle which could leave Superman damaged. Barry Allen, with the support of the Speed Force, could outmaneuver Superman and even tap into time manipulation to take him down. Shazam is also a magical being with superhuman power that could rival Superman in ways no other person could. Martian Manhunter is a powerful being with telepathic powers, and the only way he could defeat Superman is to target his mental state with his telepathy. And remember that he could also change his matter state, meaning that getting hold of him is impossible because he could disappear into thin air and possess Superman like a ghost. Carol Danvers from Marvel is a powerful being with cosmic powers, and debates state that if she ever crossed with Superman, she could exceed his physical strength. The only problem is that she is not completely vulnerable like our Man of Steel. There is this powerful being called Spectre, who is the embodiment of divine vengeance, and is also rumored to override Superman's physical strength. And by the way, we are not going to discuss about Saitama-sensei because we already know how that will turn out. Zatanna is not physically strong, but her mastery to magic and dark arts could exploit Superman's weaknesses and neutralize his powers. Dr. Fate is also a powerful being with magical abilities, and with the help of the Helmet of Nabu, he can defeat Superman with ease, especially if he uses his magical attacks. The Incredible Hulk from Marvel is a being with raw and incredible strength. The more Superman gets him angry, the more stronger he gets. And Hulk is not known to be a quitter of battles. We've seen it time and time again when he almost took out the Hulkbuster when he faced Thor, and when he even took out the Abomination Hulk. Even Thor from Marvel, with his hammer and godly powers, would present a massive challenge for Superman. His unbearable strength and his lightning generation could also be used in his favor. Raven is a demoness with incredible mystical powers, and her dark magic could overwhelm the Man of Steel. Dr. Manhattan is a complete god who possesses godlike control over time and matter, and it would be impossible for Superman to even touch him. This god from the Watchmen could neutralize Superman with his breath. Sentry also has godlike capabilities, and is also blessed with the power to warp the whole of reality as we know it. The Silver Surfer, with his cosmic powers, has a vast cosmic energy manipulation powers that can be able to defeat Superman. There's a mutant known as Franklin Richards, who just like Sentry, has reality warping powers, and could easily alter the fabric of existence and defeat Superman with his godlike abilities. Now, the following includes villains who could also challenge Superman's authority, and some who actually have the power to take him down. The TMNT villains are by far the worst villains in Nickelodeon. Just take a look at Shredder, most commonly known as Orikosaki. He was the main villain in the show and was a leader of the group known as the Foot Clan. He is remembered for his deadly metal armor and his rivalry with Splinter and his boys. Baxter Stockman was a brilliant inventor and scientist, and was the one responsible for mutating most of the villains in the show, including himself. He was also the one who mutated Splinter and the Turtles. A warlord known as Krang was from Dimension X, and was a disembodied brain who wanted to conquer Earth with the help of Shredder. He also used his advanced alien technology to fight the Turtles, and was a huge problem in the series. Leatherhead was a mutant alligator with incredible strength who was initially a good friend of the Turtles, but later turned on them and became more aggressive and dangerous towards them. Now to a bulky villain known as Rocksteady, who was a rhinoceros mutant and one of Shredder's most loyal henchmen. He was a tough fighter who was also not that bright when it came to using his mind. Bebop was Rocksteady's partner in crime, and was a mutant warthog with similar strength and stupidity just like his partner. There was a villain who controlled rats and other vermin, and his name was the Rat King. He was a mysterious and manipulative villain who was obsessed with the sewers and the creatures that lurked in them, and was a recurring threat to the Turtles throughout the series. Tatsu was the Foot Clan's second-in-command, and was a highly skilled martial artist who served Shredder, and was a consistent threat to the Turtles due to his loyalty to his master. Karai was another skilled martial artist and a minor leader of the Foot Clan. She was the adopted daughter of Shredder, who was sometimes a friend of the Turtles and sometimes an enemy. Slash was actually another mutant turtle who was initially a friend to the Turtles, but would later become an antagonist and a huge rival to Leonardo. There was this lizard known as Mona Lisa, who just like Slash, was a friend-turned-foe to the Turtles, and would later go on to join the villains who were a headache to the Turtles. As we keep mentioning, the Foot Clan was a secret criminal organization led by the almighty Shredder, and was composed of ninjas and other types of mercenaries. They were the ones who were sent to fight the Teenage Turtles when they posed as threats. Hun was the leader of the Purple Dragons, and was a tough and a ruthless criminal who had a personal vendetta against the Turtles, and would sometimes be seen working for Shredder. Just like the chameleon in Kung Fu Panda, the Teenage Turtles faced their own chameleon who had the ability to blend into his surroundings and take on the appearance of others. He was also the master of disguise, and also good in visual deception. Triceratons was a race of intelligent and humanoid Triceratops from Dimension X, and were good in military combat. They were seen trying to conquer Earth, and the Turtle Boys were trying their best to stop them. Muckman was a gross mutant that was created from garbage and toxic waste, and was a villain with powers related to pollution and trash. His appearance made him feel worthless, and that was what made him into the villain that he was. Allopux was another friend of the Turtles who turned against them after being initiated into the Foot Clan. She was a fox that was a skilled assassin and a formidable fighter against the Turtles. And a weird character was the Turtle Titan, who was created by the Turtles themselves, but would end up facing them after an identity mix-up that caused confusion and later rivalry. And lastly, Vernon Fenwick, who was not necessarily a true villain. He was an ally to the Turtles but would sometimes become their enemy when jealousy gets the best of him, and this would lead him to complicate the Turtles' missions. I know that I didn't mention all the villains, but these were the most recurring in the series. Superhero movies always focuses on heroes that we already know and have watched thousands of times. We've seen Superman for 70 years now, and we've also seen the Fantastic Four heroes since the 80s. Today, I want us to see some heroes who have existed for decades but still don't have their movies yet. There is this hero called Triumph whose real name is William McIntyre. He was among the first few heroes to join the Justice League, and is a hero with electromagnetic powers. He has never appeared in live-action movies or even animated shows. Resurrection Man is another hero from DC who has never appeared on TV. He has the power to gain a different power every time he resurrects. Zoriel joined the Justice League in the early comics but was not even included in the Justice League Unlimited series. He has angelic powers like flight and divinity. Kid Eternity is a hero who can summon figures and spirits from myth and history, by communicating with the afterlife. He has never appeared in shows and movies, and only appeared in the comics. The android Hourman is a powerful android from the future in DC Comics, but he has never appeared in shows because the Red Tornado has similar powers as him. There is a version of Superman called the Quantum Superman. He is Superman fused with quantum energy from an alternate universe, and I don't think he will ever appear in movies. Taken's real name is Joshua Saunders, and he's a hero connected to cosmic-level power in the DC Comics. He has reality-bending potential and has not yet made a debut. Colossal Boy has been seen once or twice in the Legion of Superheroes team, but the studios are yet to make a movie where he is the main protagonist. He has the same powers as the Atom of growing huge and shrinking into a particle. Buona Beast is a hero who can merge animals into beings called chimeras, and he is a hero from the Golden Age who possibly will never get a movie or feature in a show. Gangbuster's real name is Jose Delgado. He was once a boxer like Wildcat, then became a street hero, and later became a full-time hero with cybernetic enhancements on his body. He is another hero who has never featured on the screens. Animal Man has also never been adapted for today's generation because he kind of has similar powers to Vixen, and it's going to be impossible to feature them together at the same time. The Spectre is one of the most powerful mystical beings in DC, and maybe he'll get featured in the new era of the Justice League. But for now, he hasn't made a single appearance. I remember seeing Miracle Man in Justice League Unlimited, but he made a very brief appearance and is yet to feature in his own films. Shade the Changing Man has strange powers and is also yet to be featured in the new phase. Kismet the Man of Fate is a Golden Age superhero from the 1940s who is based in Algeria according to early comic history. I don't think he will ever get any screen time, to be honest. The first Invisible Woman was Scarlet O'Neil. She was one of the earliest superheroes who existed in the comic books era. She will never appear in movies because we already have an Invisible Woman in Fantastic Four. The Gay Ghost is another Golden Age hero who was in DC Studios but was dropped and vanished in thin air. Balder the Brave is an Asgardian hero and the brother of Thor who hasn't shown up in the MCU or animated series. And since Thor's phase is over in the MCU, I don't think we shall ever see Balder in action. Moondragon is a hero from Marvel, and is a cosmic and telepathic woman who is also unlikely to be adapted anytime soon. Novar from Marvel is an alternate Kree hero who has only been used in comic books because he does not fit any phase that we have right now. They used Captain America but forgot to use Captain Britain in any of their productions. He has never appeared anywhere on site. And finally, a girl called Squirrel Girl, who is a hero that literally throws squirrels on her enemies. Her powers are so dumb, and I don't think she will ever have her own movie because no one will want to watch it. In light, there's darkness, and for every Justice League member, there is a crime syndicate lurking. Superman has an evil version known as Ultraman, who is a member of the crime syndicate, and has the same powers as our guy. What makes him even more powerful than Superman is the fact that he is not limited by goodness or mercy, and uses all his powers without holding back. Owlman is a darker and corrupted version of Batman who likes to control people through fear, and just like Ultraman, he does not hold back in fights. Wonder Woman is also cursed with an evil twin called Superwoman, who is also a member of the crime syndicate, and is an evil Amazonian with plans to attack and conquer rather than to protect and save. Eobard Thawne, aka Reverse Flash, is a speedster who is obsessed with destroying Barry, and can do whatever it takes to achieve his plans. Parallax is an evil version of Hal Jordan who is driven mad by grief and fear, and uses his ring for dark deeds. Black Adam got his powers from the Wizard even before Shazam was chosen. He became dark, and the Wizard chose another hero to counter his darkness with light. Aquaman is the king of Atlantis, and Ocean Master is his brother who has the dark thoughts of conquering the surface world. Martian Manhunter also has an evil brother known as Maelfek, who betrayed his Martian species and was responsible for their planet's downfall. The Green Arrow faces a lot of oppositions, and one of those oppositions include Malcolm Merlyn, popularly known as the Dark Archer, who is a perfect copy of our hero but with dark deeds. Zatanna is a powerful hero with magic capabilities, and so does Enchantress, who uses dark magic to counter Zatanna's powers. Our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man has Venom as his dark state. It's an alien symbiote that uses its host to become the Vigilante. Obadiah Stane is the iconic Ironmonger, and is an evil industrialist using similar tech as Iron Man for evil. Captain America has Red Skull, whose real name is Johann Schmidt, and is a fascist counterpart of our captain who is always obsessed with power. Even the Incredible Hulk has a darker and more ruthless version called Maestro, a Hulk from the future that rules the wasteland with brutal force. The King of Wakanda is always getting bothered by Killmonger, who is a Wakandan that believes in revolution by force. The Sorcerer Supreme also has a dark version with Baron Mordo, who is a rival sorcerer that uses black magic. Sabretooth is a feral mutant with same powers as Wolverine, but he chooses to use his gifts for dark morals. The powerful Jean Grey has a villainous version by the name Dark Phoenix, who is a corrupted godlike version of Jean and is controlled by cosmic forces. Scarlet Witch is her own enemy because she gets corrupted by elder magic and becomes Thawne-possessed, who is a threat of reality itself. Anung Rama is a version of Hellboy that is destined to become the beast of the apocalypse. Violator is a demonic counterpart of Spawn and is a manipulator of Hell's agenda. Adam Eve from Invincible can become an evil version called Evil Eve who has much twisted morals than our girl. Judge Death is an evil version of Judge Dredd and is an undead judge that believes all life is a crime that needs punishment. Eben is a shadow-manipulating dark side of Static Shock from DC. The Black Beetle is a time-traveling version of the Blue Beetle with sinister and more corrupted plans. Mark Spector is the Moon Knight, and Randall Spector is the Shadow Knight. He is his twisted brother who becomes a dark mirror of the Moon Knight. Wario is the greedy and more chaotic version of Mario. And finally Shadow the Hedgehog, who was once Sonic's villainous counterpart, but plays as an anti-hero in today's version. With his high speeds, no one can outrace the Flash. But some people are known to come close. People like Quicksilver from Marvel, who is also a speedster with the ability to move at incredible speeds that are compared to the Flash. Kid Flash from DC, who is also known as Wally West, is Barry Allen's sidekick who shares similar powers, and is an actual student of the Flash. Impulse is a descendant of Barry Allen who is commonly known as Bart Allen, and his speeds help him in phasing through objects and traveling through time just like the Flash. The Silver Surfer from Marvel Universe is not a typical speedster, but is actually known to travel faster than the speed of light and can manipulate speed with the power cosmic. Excess is the granddaughter of Barry Allen, and just like Bart, she can also time travel with supersonic speeds and travel both to the past and distant future. The Runner from Marvel is one of the Elders of the universe, and is known for his incredibly fast speeds and abilities to traverse space and time. Max Mercury from DC is also a speedster who is a part of the Speed Force mythology, and is one of the fastest people in DC. The gorgeous Mac Carey from the Marvel Universe is a member of the Eternals with the power of superspeed. The Everlasting Godspeed was once an arch-enemy of the Flash who possessed similar powers, but some debates were that he was actually faster than our guy. Another speedster was Speed, who is a member of the Young Avengers who possesses the ability to run at insane high-level speeds. Jay Garrick, who is mostly referred to as the original Flash, is a mentor of other speedstars in his universe, and is known to have the same speed as Barry. The Speed Demon, who is also known as Fast Track, is a villain that you'll get to see in the Thunderbolts, and is a guy that moves at high velocities of arc speeds. Johnny Quick is a villain-turned-hero who is often linked to the Speed Force, and just like the rest, he also has the ability to move like the wind. Tachyon from Marvel is another speedster almost quicker than the Flash, and has the ability to manipulate tachyons, which are particles that travel faster than light. And even Vibe, who is not necessarily a speedster, but his ability to travel through phasing makes him move more quickly and precisely. A-Train from The Boys is a fast speedster who is known for his fast movements and ruthless nature just like his other powered friends. And even Captain Marvel, who is known for her strength and flight capabilities, but she can also move at near-light speeds when she's juiced up. I left Sonic the Hedgehog and the Ben 10 Alien Speedster because I don't think they are fast enough, and if I left anybody, let me know down in the comments. Villains are known for their badass attitude and their vicious nature, known for destroying, being a menace, and for being major antagonists. But in today's clip, we are going to see their completely different side. The wealthy side. So this are the richest supervillains in Marvel Comics and the DC Universe. A quick shout out to Joker, who could have all the money he wanted, but instead does not care about money at all, and thus has no net worth. Magneto, on the other side, has a hefty net worth of $500 million that he got from stealing Hydra's gold, and also because he can also control metal. And most of the money is made of metal. The famous Lex Luthor has a net worth of $75 billion that he acquired from the investments he made in LexCorp Industries, technology industries, and also in real estate ventures. Even Dr. Doom is quite rich with a net worth of $100 billion with the fact that he controls the wealth of an entire nation and is the ambassador of the United States. He also sells lots of his inventions on the black market and to the government too. Darkseid has a net worth of $12.4 billion that he got from trading with other intergalactic planets from his own world called Apocalypse that is rich in an ingredient called spice. The great tyrant Thanos has no net worth because he was busy wiping the world clean from people. Harley Quinn has a net worth of $20 million that she got from her former career as a criminal psychiatrist and also from stealing things during her insane years. Harvey Dent, aka Two-Face, has a net worth of $1 billion that he got from working as a secret agent and was from quite a wealthy family which was friends with the Wayne family. The Green Goblin was a cursed man with a net worth of $10 billion that he acquired from his rich family dynasty line and the Oscorp investments, and also had a bio-enhancement business which he used in collaboration with wealthy industries. Catwoman also boasted a hefty $1 million net worth which she got from stealing priceless artifacts in museums and safe deposits. The immortal Ra's al Ghul has an invested net worth of $1 billion that he got from decades of savings and treasure hunts, thanks to the Lazarus Pit which keeps him forever young. The Kingpin from Marvel has a net worth of $20 billion that he gets from owning multiple businesses and loaning companies. The Red Skull also boasts $100 million which he got from owning his own World War II company that made and sold expensive weapons. Mystique was not much of a baller, only having a net worth of $65,000 that she got mostly from stealing, thanks to her shape-shifting abilities. Poison Ivy was just like Thanos and Joker, broke due to her war on humanity. Penguin was a $70 million psycho that he got from doing crime ever since he was a kid, and also the owner of a highly successful upper-class social club known as the Iceberg Lounge. Did I miss anyone? Let me know down in the comments.
Not so fast, seducer. You haven't won yet.
You think you can beat me when your superheroes could not? Never!
Townsville has produced some of the most dangerous and frightening villains in the Cartoon Network universe. The Powerpuff Girls have fought iconic and even smart villains like Mojo Jojo, who was actually the main antagonist throughout the series. He was the most intelligent person in the show and was initially a lab assistant to Professor Utonium. He became evil after an accident and always came up with plans to destroy the Powerpuff Girls and take over Townsville. There was another villain who identified as him and was a mysterious and powerful demonic entity that gave us nightmares when we were kids. He was so sinister and manipulative creepy figure with abilities like telekinesis and shape-shifting. Fuzzy Lumpkins was a grumpy and a large hillbilly-like creature who was mostly seen as a simple threat, but was a villain with anger issues and super strength which made him a dangerous threat to the girls. There was also a gang which was known as the Gone Green Gang and was a group of juvenile delinquents who caused chaos in Townsville. The group included dangerous people like Ace, who was the leader, Big Billy, Grubber, and other school dropouts who hanged out with the others. The beautiful Sedusa was a female villain who, just like Medusa, used her hair as weapon. She seduced and manipulated others to get what she wanted, and would often battle the girls when they got in her way. There was a princess known as Princess Morbucks, who was a spoilt rich girl that wanted to become a Powerpuff Girl. But after getting rejected time after time by the girls, she turned into a villain and was seen trying to defeat the girls with her wealth and advanced technology. The Rowdy Rough Boys were the male counterparts to the Powerpuff Girls who were created by Mojo Jojo from the girls' DNA. They included Brick, Boomer, and Butch, and each had unique powers and personalities just like the Powerpuff Girls. Another group of villainous boys were the Amoeba Boys, who were a trio of dim-witted and dangerous villains that committed major crimes in the city and were always stopped by the girls. They included Slim, Flim, and Eggs. Tornado Terror was another villain in the city who used the power of wind to create destructive storms and whirlwinds that caused major disasters in Townsville. A lava monster known as the Magma Monster was a giant molten villain that caused destruction wherever it went. It was one of the most dangerous villains that the girls faced. Mr. Mime, on the other hand, was seen causing trouble with his miming abilities. He used illusions and creative gestures to manipulate his environment and trap the girls with his tricks. The Boogeyman was a spooky villain who came out from the closets and under the beds of kids, and was another character that gave us nightmares when we were kids. He used fear and nightmare stories to scare and defeat the girls. And last but not least is Tarantula, who was a villain that took the form of a giant spider. She also used massive webs and venomous bites to terrorize Townsville, and was a hard spider for the girls to beat. There were other villains who appeared in different episodes throughout the series, but the ones we discussed were the ones who appeared consecutively, and were the most dangerous to say the least. Yoda was one of the oldest and most powerful Jedi in all of the Star Wars franchise, and was known for his wisdom and mastery of the Force. But do you actually know that there are other Jedi Masters who were kind of on the same level of Yoda? Today we shall see some of these Jedi who are not very well recognized as the best. And we shall start with Luke Skywalker, who is much better known than the others we shall talk about today. He was the son of the great Anakin Skywalker, and was known as a key figure in restoring the Jedi Order after its near extinction. Obi-Wan Kenobi was a Jedi Knight who trained both Anakin and Luke Skywalker, and also played a special role in the Clone Wars and the fight against the Sith. Qui-Gon Jinn was a maverick Jedi Master known for his belief in the living Force, and was the main mentor for Obi-Wan. The great Anakin Skywalker was initially a Jedi Knight who led the clones in victories during the Clone Wars, but his fall into darkness made him into one of the most feared Sith Lords in the whole galaxy, known as Darth Vader. Ki-Adi-Mundi was a Syrian Jedi Master who served on the Jedi Council during the Clone Wars, and was known for his strategic mind and leadership. He was also one of the greatest pilot in his time. Aayla Secura was a Twi'lek Jedi Knight who became a trusted general during the Clone Wars, and was known for her agility and expertise in lightsaber combat against the Separatists. Kit Fisto was a Nautolan Jedi Master who was known for his skills in underwater environments, and was also a very cheerful fella. He was a skilled lightsaber duelist who participated in major battles during the Clone Wars. There was this lady called Luminara Unguli, who was a Mirilan Jedi Master who was known for her calm demeanor and disciplined approach to the Jedi Code. She led the troops in several key battles during the Clone Wars. Another Mirilan Jedi was Barriss Offee, who was a close friend of Ahsoka Tano, and was an expert in healing techniques and was known for her dedication to the Jedi Order. Cici Tyan was an Ictachi Jedi Master who was a skilled pilot and a lightsaber combatant who served on the Jedi Council and fought in the Clone Wars, often working closely with Mace Windu and other Jedi leaders. Admiral Akbar was a military strategist who initially was a Jedi. He was one with the Force, but later shifted his focus to military works. Now, Yaddle was a member of the same mysterious species as Yoda, and was very well known for her wisdom and insights. Jocasta was the Jedi librarian who was responsible for the preservation of the Jedi archives. She was deeply knowledgeable about Jedi history and often served as an advisor of the Council. Tera Sinub was an elderly Jedi Master who specialized in the knowledge of ancient Jedi texts and the Force. He was especially known for his wisdom and commitment to teaching the younger Jedi who were the next generation. Eth Koth was a Zabrak Jedi Master who served on the Jedi Council during the Clone Wars, and was very well known for his prowess in lightsaber combat, and was actually considered a maverick within the Council. Shakti was a Togruta Jedi Master who was also a member of the Jedi Council, and was known for serving as a general during the Clone Wars. She was known for her serenity and powerful connection to the Force, and was a great healer too. Thulm was a respected Jedi Master with a keen mind for espionage and tactics. He played a key role in the investigation of various galactic conflicts and was known for his expertise in tracking and analyzing people. The great Jedi Master Sifo Dyas was the Jedi who foresaw the coming of the Clone Wars and was responsible for the creation of the Clone Army. Pilo Koon was a revered Jedi Master who was known for his calm demeanor and his affinity with the Force. He was a seasoned leader who fought in the Clone Wars and was a highly respected member of the Jedi Council. The Justice League members have faced dangerous villains who have proved to be a menace, but nobody comes close to the wrath of Darkseid. He is the ruler of his own planet called Apocalypse, and is a godlike tyrant who is always seeking the anti-life equation to dominate all life in the galaxy. His main archenemy is Superman. Lex Luthor is also the archenemy of Superman, and is a genius billionaire who often funds other groups to take the Justice League down. He is also the one responsible for reconstructing Doomsday to go after Superman. Brainiac is an alien AI who collects and destroys civilizations and is always in battle with the Justice League members. Doomsday is a monstrous being who is known as Superman's main challenge. He is very hard to defeat due to his healing and regenerative factor. The Joker is Batman's main problem and is sometimes a high-level threat. In the animated movie called Injustice, he took the life of Lois Lane by deceiving Superman, and his don't-care attitude makes him a really big problem. Sinestro is the archenemy of Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps in general. He was also a former Green Lantern until he turned into a yellow ring-powered villain who could induce fear to his ops. Vandal Savage has been alive for more than 2,500 years, and is an immortal warlord who manipulates history itself and is always trying to rule the world in his glory and power. Ra's al Ghul is the leader of the League of Assassins and the unfortunate father-in-law to Bruce Wayne. He uses the Lazarus Pit to immortalize himself and heal his body after fights. The Anti-Monitor can be mostly seen in Crisis on Infinite Earths, and is a cosmic being who devours universes. The Justice League cannot defeat him on their own, and that is why they always seek help from other members of the Justice League from other universes. Trigon is a demonic entity and the father to Raven, who is a member of the Teen Titans. His main aim is to conquer Earth and destroy both the Justice League and the Teen Titans. The Injustice League is a villainous counterpart to the League, and is a group of different villains who teamed up to overpower the Justice League. The Legion of Doom is a group led by Lex Luthor with villains like Sinestro, Cheetah, Black Manta, and others. There is a group called the Secret Society of Supervillains, and it was created for the main purpose of defeating the League's influence over the galaxy. The Crime Syndicate is an evil version of the Justice League, and they have their own Superman called Ultraman and their Batman called Owlman. The Royal Flush Gang is a group which dresses and use weapons based on poker cards, and they depend on high-tech gadgets to commit crimes like robbery and domination. The Brotherhood of Evil started as the archenemies to the Teen Titans, but many dangerous villains joined the team and the Justice League had to help the kids. Cheetah is the archenemy of Wonder Woman. She mostly works alone but also unites with teams like the Legion of Doom to take the League down. Ares is the infamous god of war, and is always in conflict with the Justice League concerning the importance of human life. His godlike abilities make it difficult for the team to fight him. Black Adam is the archenemy of Shazam, and he also joins with other villainous teams for world domination. Black Manta is the archenemy of Aquaman, and is a man with possession of strong and powerful weapons that he mainly uses as a way of destroying Aquaman and the city of Atlantis. The Ocean Master is another villain from Atlantis, and is the half-brother of Aquaman who always tries to overthrow his brother's rule and take over the whole world. If you watched Justice League Unlimited, you saw an alien tyrant called Despero. He has 3 eyes and can control every species with his mind, and is also gifted with enhanced strength and abilities. Mongol was also seen in Justice League Unlimited, and is a warlord who turned his planet into a war world, kind of like the gladiators from the Rome era. He mostly challenged the team against powerful aliens and cosmic beings who were so hard to beat. Prometheus is a master tactician who is trained to counter the Justice League's powers. Eclipso is a spiritual entity of divine wrath, and is known to possess people with the thirst for destruction and chaos. Maxwell Lord is a guru in telepathy, and is known to control Superman to turn and fight against his league. The only member who can counter his powers is the Martian Manhunter. Dr. Destiny also appeared in Justice League Unlimited, and is a man fused with powers to alter and manipulate dreams, kind of like Freddy Krueger, and is able to attack the League psychologically. The Key is a master of unlocking dimensions, and if you look closely at his picture, you'll see some keys on his skin which he uses to open doors to different dimensions and realities. He is also good in mental manipulation. Kanjuro is a space pirate who mostly clash with heroes like the Green Lanterns, and is a leader of a group known to enslave worlds and different species. Starro the Conqueror is an alien starfish with mind-controlling powers. Once they mount on your face, they connect the tissues to your brain and control your entire body function. They have possessed people like Superman and Hawkgirl in multiple occasions. Parasite is a dangerous villain who can absorb powers from heroes and use their abilities against them. He is undefeatable and purely the strongest villain. Bizarro is a twisted clone of Superman, and instead of peace, he is known to cause destruction mostly to Smallville and Metropolis. General Zod is a Kryptonian just like Superman, and he shares similar powers which makes him a very dangerous and difficult villain to beat. Captain Cold uses weapons of ice, and is mostly known to fight against the Flash and the Legends of Tomorrow. Gorilla Grodd is a hyper-intelligent gorilla with mind-controlling powers which he uses on weak heroes like the Flash and Green Arrow. Weather Wizard is the enemy of Flash, and is known for manipulating the weather to devastating effect. Mirror Master uses mirrors for teleportation and illusion attacks. He is very hard to catch, but Martian Manhunter can follow him to the mirror world. Toyman mostly clashes with Batman in Gotham, and is a man who uses toys as explosives and chemical attacks. Metallo is a cyborg that can put Superman down due to its kryptonite power. Other superheroes like Aquaman and Wonder Woman can beat it with their magical weapons. Solomon Grundy is the Hulk-like version of DC, and is a being with extreme levels of strength which he uses on the League members. In some versions like the Justice League Unlimited, he redeemed himself by saving the heroes and became good friends with Hawkgirl. Deadshot is a master assassin and an enemy of Batman. He does not work in teams, and is just an anti-hero and an assassin for hire. Deathstroke also does not work in teams. He is a strategist and a mercenary with enhanced abilities like combat skills, strength, and regeneration. Major Force is a failed government experiment with energy powers, and it mostly clashes with the Green Lantern. Dr. Light has the power to absorb and manipulate light, and is so powerful in such a way that he has defeated both the Teen Titans and the Justice League in the same universe. Zoom and Reverse Flash are time-traveling speedsters who mostly clash with the Flash for domination of the Speed Force. Kronos is a master of time travel who, just like Vandal Savage, disrupts history to cause chaos. Lord Havoc is the leader of a group called the Extremists who mostly fight the Justice League for world domination. Ultrahumanite is a genius villain who sometimes works with Lex Luthor, and has the power to transfer his mind into powerful bodies. And finally Perdegaton, who is a man and a time-traveling villain trying to reshape history to his rule.